This was not part of my schedule, but I feel like it's akin to breaking news. So I'm gonna have to add an image layer briefly. Don't question why you can see my vortex in the background. That'll give me a minute. Okay, insert image layer, pull from, you piece of shit, my downloads. Why are you not sorting by recency, bastard? So, this is not related to what we're going to be playing today, but I just felt like I kind of had to. This uploaded 11 seconds before I turned on my damn mic. Nintendo has. Nintendo has. This is part of what's been keeping Steam in check. The idea that digital only games should be cheaper than physical uploads, or physical games, physical availability. Like, oh, why do we need the exact same price for a digital game when the physical version actually requires printing a disc and shipping and all that jazz? Well, because developers wouldn't let their games go on Steam. Developers, publishers, whoever you want to blame. They wouldn't let them go on digital storefronts. They wouldn't distribute them, period. And that's actually been a bit of a, how to phrase this politely, an obstacle for Steam and other digital distributors. Because it leads to people on those storefronts shopping around specifically for deals, for discounts, waiting, exercising patience. Can you believe people actually still have an ounce of that left in the modern consumerist culture? But yeah, this coming out of Nintendo when we are already speculating about price increases on hardware, I think this might be a way of. How are they going to disambiguate this between a game keycard and an actual digital download, considering, practically speaking, a game keycard only has the download key for the game, not actually the. It is still a physical product, it is still plastic. You have to. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm gonna be having thoughts on this off and on. Oh dear. We've been asking for this for years. I don't know about anybody else, but I've been asking for this since, well, practically speaking, since I started college and had to, work for my damn money. I've been wondering this for over 15 years, practically speaking, but again, I have to compartmentalize to some degree. Who else will follow? Because if Nintendo is setting this, and Nintendo games notoriously don't go down in price, physically, at least not to the same extent that they do on, say, Xbox or PlayStation, I have concerns. I don't know how to articulate this politely. But yeah, I guess I can just shrink that back down a little and hide it for the time being. Nintendo is pulling the plug. It is more like pulling a pin on the damn grenade at this rate. Because the idea that digital has to be the same price as MSRP physical day one, that has been a restraint on Steam and other digital distributors, but Steam is the most important right now. Steam is the one in the middle of multiple lawsuits. I feel like Nintendo doing this isn't going to give them an appreciable difference. They're clearly trying to move towards a more digital storefront, more digital platform in general. You rarely see anybody using traditional cartridges on Nintendo systems. they're moving much more towards third parties, at least, game key cards. Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the few examples that actually has a large game on a cartridge. Oh, that's a bit of a worrying one. That's a bit of a thinker. Because Nintendo's also, they're publishing it, but it's Pokemon. It's basically Nintendo's property. Pokopio is a game key card. And I'm having a serious thing about getting that as well, but I don't like the concept of key cards. So... the idea that Nintendo is going to be the first one on this, though. I figured it would be Microsoft, personally. I figured it would have been Xbox. But Nintendo, considering they just cut their Switch 2 productions in the US by 2 million, by, was it 2 million out of 6? So 33% basically? Yeah, I guess they do have to pull out some stops, financially speaking. But yeah, I figured it would have been, well, not them. Oh well. Yeah, anyway, take this off. So I can just get rid of that. I've already... the outline's distracting me. It bothers me. Go away. Right, refocused. Today is going to be a Fallout day. Because I want to play some Fallout, and frankly, I want to play something that uses mouse and keyboard because controllers are hurting my arm. I knocked out all of my weeklies for Monster Hunter Wilds last night. And even though I wasn't doing anything that hard, it was like 9 and a couple of 10-star new Udras. Still messed with me a bit. So I figured, let's do something mouse and keyboard for a bit. Let's just try to chill ever so slightly. So I figured, okay, I want to play something with mouse and keyboard. There's plenty of games that function with mouse and keyboard, but what would I want to play that I default mouse and keyboard on? And I've streamed previously. It would either be Fallout New Vegas, or Dragon Age Origins. Or not Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age Inquisition. Inquisition lost the coin toss. Sorry, Inquisitor, from where you're sitting, it must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. But the truth is, the Rift was not coming back from the very... I don't know why that... The analogy falls apart! The reference dies! Also, I'm sick! I caught something. I'm probably getting it from my nephew, but I don't want to blame him for it. Still. Toxins coming from 3 feet under. You never see them coming. So yeah, there were a variety of games I could have chosen from, but I'm in the mood for some Vegas. And specifically, I want to tinker around with modding. Not necessarily a mod list that I have ready to go. Because if you look at this picture, I have over 2,000 mods, air quotes, uninstalled, which means downloaded but not enabled. Only 3 mods which have never been installed. And I currently have 4 mods enabled, which frankly, the New Vegas script extender, that barely counts. That's just the functionality to enable mods. The Vortex archive and validation, again, that's a mechanic of Vortex itself. Although there are dedicated mods if you want that as a separate... I don't really... I have one. I'm not using it, though. This is the one that's native to Vortex. If you want a mod specifically for that, you can. But frankly, if you're not going to use the built-in extension from Vortex, then you can just go into the TXTs and edit it yourself. Like, archive and validation getting invalidated in and of itself, that's just a matter of getting your textures to properly load, from my experience. If you ever wondered why some of your, air quotes, high resolution for 2010 textures aren't actually appearing as they should, because this broke. and is still broken. New Vegas! It's a gamble the game even launches. And the third thing, which is the character preset menu. This is just because I don't like the New Vegas character creator. I saved a couple of designs, mainly for Atticus, Cassandra, and I threw together one more. And the example preset Todd, we're not playing as Todd Howard. There's a temptation, but frankly, I don't think he's actually a low-end character. I think he's too conniving. He's too much of a schemer. Nobody releases 16 versions of Skyrim and has people buy them all without having some level of int. So we're not playing God Howard. No. Besides, he didn't even make this game. He published. He didn't develop. So this is everything I have currently set up for New Vegas at the moment. This is as vanilla as we're going to see it. I think I actually only had the NVSC set up on my previous recording when I was showing you a level 1 clinic run. And I'm halfway tempted to redo that entire process because I played a fair bit of New Vegas off stream after recording that. And I realized some of my information is hideously outdated. And some parts of it are preference. Other parts of it are just, oh yeah, I played this in 2010 before they were patching and updating and adding DLC. So some of it's just a lack of awareness. You don't need that much perspective. Perspective? Words. Perception. You don't need that much perception to get the perks you want in New Vegas, and frankly, it doesn't do that much for you in the game itself. Oh, that's gonna be some bad foreshadowing. I need to cough again. If you hear anything that sounds like my teeth are clicking, I am going through cough drops at a mile a minute. Luck of the Irish. I had to catch something on St. Patrick's Day, of all days. Maybe some alcohol would have sterilized it, but I don't drink. I'm a bad Irishman. So let's actually pop open a game instance. And we can start to have a bit of a discussion. The audio will be imbalanced when the games first start up because, like other relics from 2010, the desktop audio will start being impactful long before it reflects our actual in-game settings. Oh, no. Did that break it entirely? Yes. Vortex, go away. It's actually just a screenshot of Vortex. And because I don't have a borderless full screen mod on, actually tabbing out of the game can sometimes just break it. Come back. Come back to me. There we go. Now we have balanced audio. Now, first things first. This is not my Steam copy of Fallout New Vegas. But the windows are behaving properly in terms of recording, so you're actually able to see it presently. This is my Epic Games Launcher version of New Vegas. There are currently no working mod suites for it. Yes, you can mod it manually, but if you're looking for something like Vortex, something that can generally ease the process, you're shit out of luck. I'm using this as my sort of control. Like, currently, I've got a character in here where I've currently managed to reach level 4. I'm partway through Run Goodsprings run, or... No, this isn't Run Goodsprings run. This is Ghost Town Gunfight save. And as you could see from the loading screen, I'm level 4. But if I go to the limits of the air quotes tutorial zone, I will get a pop-up to remake my character. And I've chosen 2 perks that are from, I believe... Is this Lonesome Road or... Honest Hearts? I think. Dead Money? Eventually I'm just going to name all 4 DLCs, and I'm still going to find a way to be wrong. These perks are from one of the DLCs, which, in a uniquely bugged kind of way, if you take these and then respec your character, you don't have to give up these perks. So I'm going to reach the limit of the tutorial in about 3... Never mind, 2, 1. There we go. Rebuild character. I hate this ugly mug, but I don't like the character creator. I don't want to spend enough time in there to fix it. Four, 5, 8, 1, 8, 6, 8. Yeah, I could probably find a way to get Radchild level 4 that early, so I'll set that one. You know, you as well, sure. We're not going to keep going on this character, I'm just trying to set something up. You don't need skilled on this one. This is going to be for my generalist. We'll go over the text files momentarily. You get back all your XP. It's about 1100. Definitely enough to get you over level 4. And look, Cazadors! And we're never going to actually fight them because menus. Survival 50. I think you need to get Survival 70 for Radchild, so... Rapid reload, that'll do well. Another level up. Can't remember what exactly I want for my level 4, and I can't pull up that file right now because, again, lack of a proper borderless mode. So we're going to get what we get, and then we'll see what happens. Or so you'd think. Radchild, level 4, survival 70. Now, we have it selected in the perk menu. We're going to go back. We're going to take everything out of survival. And we're going to put our points elsewhere. Nothing else in survival. Humor me. Guns 40, that should be a good start. Science 25. Let's get lockpick to 25 as well. We got 3 points left over. just for shits and giggles. We'll be slightly good at public speaking. And we can still select Done here. Ordinarily, this is grayed out until you've selected a perk. However, if we scroll down, Radchild is still selected, even if it's grayed out. This is something that is in the vanilla and most recently updated game, as long as you're not running bug fixes. So, you can still get a perk even after you've disallocated the points. So now, as you can see here, we still have Light Touch and Old World Gourmet, but now we have Radchild, which is a perk that, frankly, I had to be brought around on. I generally try to keep my radiation very low. I treat it like a second health bar. However, in terms of Fallout New Vegas, radiation is not the biggest concern you're going to have to deal with any level frequently. So if you just use this as an asset for your primary health bar, and you have even a moderate amount of medical supplies, it's just bonus health. This is like playing old-ish school Call of Duty, where you round a corner and suddenly you're smearing red jelly off of your eyes. You're instantly healing from 50 cals. And Rapid Reload is just for convenience's sake. Because I didn't know what else I would be getting this early on with the planned spread of skills and stats. And it's convenient, as long as you remember to unequip your weapon and then re-equip it after a save load, just in case you get the bug where sometimes New Vegas is buggy in predictable ways, other times it's just a marvel. Rapid Reload, if you load a save and have a weapon equipped that is impacted by Rapid Reload, sometimes it applies a minus 25% on your reload speed, so you actually reload slower on save, on load particularly. It fixes itself approximately when you unequip and then re-equip the weapon, or if you just equip a different weapon entirely. But that's one of those funny little intricacies that, frankly, you just have to get used to if you're going to play this vintage, classic, seminal RPG. And frankly, these kind of bugs are the reason I can't put New Vegas in my top 10 games of all time, because it needs so many mods. It needs bug fixes that have never been addressed by the studio, that have never been addressed by the publisher in over 15 years. But I digress. We've got 2 free perks, and we've also got a perk that we shouldn't have based on our current skill allocation. As you can see, our survival is still 14 points below. But Radchild, I've heard the arguments, I've seen the videos, I now recognize that it does have value. Especially when you get it for air quotes free. But I think that's enough of this save for the moment, so let's go back out to the main menu. I can bring back this, and more importantly, this, my notes. What you got a preview of there is my generalist build. I like having an all-rounder for, frankly, lazy reasons. The only thing my generalist build specializes in, and specializes in big-ass air quotes, is rifle grip guns. Ballistic guns. I like shotguns, okay? I didn't need to go more particular than that. I'm gonna end up with either a lever action for 20s, or a riot shotgun for 12. And I wanted to experiment with my generalist build because I want to try doing something with, as you can see here, no comprehension, no educated, no skilled, and 14 skill points per level. So even after I get the int implant, unless I was going to beeline Lonesome Road at level 1, and even then the XP would throw me above it after a point, I'm not going to have the maximum skill point gains. Which feels like heresy. You're leaving skill points on the table. It's a precious resource, but with a level cap of 50 and the availability of so many skill books, you don't need max int. You need a certain amount of int if you want to be a generalist, if you want to be an all-rounder. But you don't need max. So, you're leaving behind the ability to get a bonus point per skill book, and also the increased magnitude of the skill books, skill magazines. Like, even if I was going for a low int build, I think I would want to go just high enough to get comprehension, because that's a plus 20 for temporary skill boosts when you use magazines. But no, we're going to not do that. We're going to go even lower int. No educated. Again, there's a minimum education requirement for, I believe, 4 int. We're not going to go there either. No skilled. If you're willing to use skilled as a trait, then that could functionally be a free 195 skill points. That is 65 on the first usage in character creation, second usage for respec, and the third is when you finish Old World Blues and have the ability to respec your, what do they call it, a psych exam? At the Syncs Auto Dock. So 65, 65, and 65. That's 195 potential skill points there. That's almost 2 entire skills worth of points. Sorry about that. I thought I was going to cough up a lung. Turned out to just be green. And I fell. It's not that bad, though, so if I start complaining about my left hip or anything, just call me a baby. I'll get over it. I might be more sick than I thought. More sick, sicker. Syntax is the first thing to go. Give me an error code, damn you. Anyway. What was I talking about? Skilled, right. I apologize. I'll find my composure eventually. Whew. Right. Skilled is too good of a trait for my tastes. It's like, if you're gonna take it, I think you have to agree to not use the exploit, because it's just too damn good. With that in mind, however, I'm forfeiting 3 ways to get extra skill points. Not every way, but 3 of the major ways that you guarantee you can actually get a functioning generalist, an all-rounder, just to max out 100 out of 100 and say you did it in everything. So, with that in mind, if you actually want to forfeit all of those means by which you can acquire additional skill points, can you still max out everything? Yes. And as you can see here, my original calculations are still showing early on when I was planning to use Honest Hearts for bonus skill books. Because there are certain supply chests in Honest Hearts that have a chance of giving you 1 or more skill books randomly. That said, however, you actually don't need those Honest Hearts skill chests, the books from the skill. I can talk, I swear. There's a reason I always use Charisma as a dump stat. You don't need them, however. Because originally the plan was you would be approximately 15 skill points short of maxing out everything. I do believe that in my original calculations this was 14 points. However, 2 out of 3 you need a skill book to get 3 points, so functionally you would be 15 points shy. So originally I was thinking, well, there are, 4 or 5 of those crates, and you would need to guarantee at least 1 skill book from each of them, minimum. And if there's skills you're going to be prioritizing at certain times, given how early you could start Honest Hearts, then you might need more than 1 skill book for some of them. However, my original calculations were ignoring the fact that I was going to be getting the intelligence implant, and specifically when I was going to be getting the intelligence implant. So if you get the intelligence implant level 20 or earlier, and you're planning on maxing out your level anyway, then this is a non-issue. And that's where this part comes in. Early int implant can compensate. Now, you could theoretically get the int implant at level 1 in a clinic run, as I've shown you previously, for a total of 25 additional points. I'm sorry, I will find my strength. I'm having a little difficulty. Right. You could theoretically do a clinic run at level 1 to get the intelligence implant right out of the gate with 9 int. Therefore, you would be able to increase that. However, don't delete that. I just hit the button by mistake. I can't aim for shit. It's a good thing I'm playing a first-person shooter today. That would be true if we were intending to go for a 9 int start. However, we're going with an 8 int start. So if you're going with a 9 int start into 10, then we would guarantee 1 extra skill point every level, and that 24 to 25, that would actually jump to a plus 49. That's how good int is in terms of the reliability of skill points. More skill points per level up just means more skills. It's that simple. That's how Fallout's been ever since Fallout 3. That 23 to 25 or 24 to 25, that's specifically because we have an odd number of skill points per level. So if you have 8 going into 9 early on, you're effectively getting 14.5 skill points per level. But there's a predictability to it whereby you can get the +1 on evens if you get it early on, which is what I plan to do. So with that in mind, if you actually get the int implant, let's say level 20 or earlier, then these compensation vectors, these become a non-issue. And we go from needing to get above the maximum level cap of 50 to what we can easily meet via the in-game stat boosting mechanics. We can just reach that below level 50. Or technically, you're still going to meet it at level 50 unless you get it extremely early on. Skipping an entire level up, that would require you get it probably level 6 or below. And if I actually go back to that character I showed you earlier in my Epic Games save, I did a clinic run at level 4, I believe. So actually, yes, I could get this done level 49, theoretically, depending on how many skill books I acquire and when. It'd be much more convenient to do it at level 50, though, so that's consideration. In doing so, however, for my generalist, I would start with 4 strength, 5 perception, 8 endurance. If you're going to get all of the implants, I would say 8 endurance is the minimum. 1 charisma, this is the safest dump stat you can have to put 0 points into. You can't have it set to 0, however. It can reach 0, but you can't make your character with 0. 8 intelligence. This still feels low for my tastes, but the math is solid. 6 agility and 8 luck. Now, as you can see here, everything is going to get at least a +1 courtesy of the implant available at the New Vegas Medical Clinic. But the strength is going to get +2 in addition to that, bringing it up to 7 with reinforced spine. This is the only one of the body perks I would say I always pick from Old World Blues. But I gotta be honest with you, I basically don't know the DLC that well. So when I say always, that's a very low number compared to what you probably think it is. I want to play the DLCs on stream while I'm still feeling like they're new to me. So you're going to get some new experiences right along with me. Now, on to perception. Perception you don't need a whole lot of. Generally, you wear a hat. So that's going to have you reliably at perception 7. Pop a mentat if you need more than that. I think there's very few skill checks that actually require more than 7. And I can actually look that up for you. Because if I go to my New Vegas folder, I have skill checks for New Vegas DLC, as well as skill spreads with books. So if I'm talking DLC purely, perception check, the highest perception check in Dead Money is 7. Highest perception check in Honest Hearts is 6. Highest perception check in Old World Blues is 7. Highest perception check in Lonesome Road is 6. And there's the template. These are the skill checks that are all for the DLC, whether they are skill-based, stat-based, or perk-based. Dead Money, I can't remember exactly where the Mathrath skill check is. I know it's in a conversation with Elijah, however. If you have the Mathrath perk, then you get a unique dialogue option. There are no perk-specific unique dialogues for Honest Hearts. They're not really skill check-wise perk checks. How to put this politely. If you want unique skills-based dialogue for Honest Hearts, pick Sneering Imperialist. It is purely for flavor, and it's not good dialogue. It's fun, though. When I say it's not good, I mean it's not helpful dialogue. It is good for entertainment, though. Old World Blues, again, no unique perk-based dialogue that will get you through a skill check. And Lonesome Road, this again, I like it for flavor, but it's not really going to progress you through a skill check. If you have Explorer, you get unique dialogue with Ulysses. Now, that said, I do have this document ready to go for the DLCs, because 3 out of 4 of these, not Lonesome Road though, but 3 out of 4 of these, once you start the DLCs in New Vegas, you get locked in. So I would want to make sure that I can either meet all these requirements going in, or that I can level up and get just enough for all these checks going in. At least for the checks that fit the character I'm playing. And for my skill spreads with books, this is actually not what I thought it was. I thought these were for skill books. No, this is my spreads, right. I can wake up. I can do this. Right. Okay. This is how I calculate for builds whether or not I actually need to get all of the skill books. And as you can see here, with comprehension, you need fewer books to achieve the same approximate point bounds as you would for others. For this, I should probably actually show you my skill books document as well, because there are some books that are more populous than others. Generally, there are 6 of each skill book. However, for science, so you can see there's 8 of them available between the base game and the DLCs. If you remove the DLCs, there are 5 science skill books in the game. And if you remove the one that is specifically a quest reward for one specific quest choice, then there's only 4 science skill books in the base game. You look at Sneak, and again, it's 4 and 4. Four and 2, 4 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 and 2, 3 and 3 actually for repair. So that's where the pattern starts to emerge. Or diverge, I should say. My brain is gone today. I'm sorry. I'm trying my best, but it's not happening. The pattern diverges, starting with repair. As you can see, this is a 3 and 3. Then science, it's 4 and 4. So this would still be 4 in the base game. Sneak, 4 and 4 again. Speech, 4 and 2. Survival, 4 and 1. I'm surprised they only added one more survival book with the DLCs. And then Unarmed, 4 and 2. So generally speaking, there were 4 of each skill book in the base game. In fact, I think it's a minimum 4 for all of them. But it's across DLCs where they start adding in variants. Technically, 5 with science, because, again, that lucky old sun. If you specifically choose the followers aligned ending, that gets you an extra book. But base game, with no dependencies on any specific quest outcomes, there are 4 of each skill book. With all of these skill books available to you, however, you then get to this. These are the points whereby you would set the maximums for each skill. So you don't need any more than the following points. The parenthetical is including 1 additional skill book that you can craft per skill, courtesy of Old World Blues. So you can theoretically get 6 books in barter, finding 6 books in barter between the base game and the DLC. You can get 7 if you include the skill book you crafted Old World Blues. So for all of these books here, 6, 6, 6, 6, 7, 8, etc. So you could +1 each one of these, including the crafting skillbook options from Old World Blues. And this is factored in. So, assuming you're going to collect every single skillbook, and for the sake of my numbers, I don't include the Lucky Old Sun for science. Could, don't. I have exceptions in here for sneak and survival as well. But that's more to do with the pattern aberration than it is actually the calculations themselves. It's like these ones are mostly 6s, but then you have some 8s and some 5s, so those are noted in here because they are aberrant numbers, not because you have to factor in differently beyond the numbers. So if you're going to collect all the skill books, if you're going to craft all the skill books available in Old World Blues, then these are your considerations. As you can see here, between Science and Sneak as well, Science and Sneak are both at 8 in my previous page. However, the 8 shrinks to a 7 for Science when you factor out that Lucky Old Sun, and then both get a +1 for crafting. So I don't factor in that ending for the followers. You could as well if you want to save 4 points elsewhere. But generally this is how I calc it. So you never need to get your science higher than 64 if you're going to do a followers ending, or 68 if you're going to collect every skill book, including craftable ones. For sneak, you don't have to worry about quest outcomes, it's just a matter of collecting everything. So you never need to get your sneak higher than 64 if you're going to do full collecting to min-max your build. In the same way, you also don't need to get anything higher than, say, strength 7 for your base in specials. I do keep my strength relatively low by comparison because I use buff out and alcohol quite a bit. But generally speaking, your base strength doesn't need to be higher than 7 because you have the option for Reinforced Spine as well as the New Vegas Clinic implant for strength. So you always have a +3 option available for your specials, strength-wise at least. Now, we were going over special a bit more specifically, these choices. Perception is only getting high enough for specific perk choices. Endurance, you always want to max out if you're planning on doing a generalist build, because you want to maximize your implants. You want to be able to... There's a strange behavior with endurance, actually, and implants. Because the endurance implant itself will boost your endurance by 1 point. However, there's a finite number of implants, and the highest you want to go is 8. For simplicity's sake, the highest you want to start with your endurance is 8. Even if you want to get all implants, there is a maximum of 9 implants in the game. We're talking implants that are not included in Old World Blues. So if you want to get the Old World Blues specific version of Leadbelly, that does not count towards your implant threshold. That doesn't factor in your endurance. We're strictly talking the 7 special implants, the subdermal implant, and the monocyte breeder, the regen implant. There are 9 implants available at the New Vegas Medical Clinic. You don't need to get your endurance higher than 9. And frankly, you don't need to set it higher than 8, considering there's also the endurance implant itself. So, for character creation, I would recommend an endurance of 8. And that's where I spend my last point from Divide Survivor, again, because there's a finite number of implants and, frankly, a limited amount of usability. Like, Charisma 2, that's usually the last implant I get. So if I would already be at Endurance 9 and I theoretically can't get the final implant, then I burn Divide Survivor on that, and then I also get Charisma. So if you use Divide Survivor on Endurance, that gets you 1 additional special point that could theoretically be 2. So I recommend you not get endurance higher than 8 or lower than 8, because that's a sweet spot whereby you can get 1 implant in there from the clinic, and you can also get +1 from Divine Survivor that is functionally +2. That's my approach. It's not a hard and fast rule. You can obviously max out your skills without doing this. It's just something I recommend personally. 9 int. We've gone over before that with no comprehension, no educated, and no skilled, if you're collecting every skill book, you can max out every skill. So if you want to max out your skills more reliably, start with 9 and get the implant as quickly as possible, go to 10 right out of the gate, or just start with 10. If you're willing to max out your int, if you're willing to get comprehension, or educated, or skilled, you will max out all your skills. If you max out all of these, I thought I was going with a low int build. Yeah, Sanity. I'm going over a bit more general stuff before I show the build itself. This is Two-Fisted Explosion, and I'll be going over that shortly. I'm just trying to explain my rationale with building in general first. This is my generalist. This is kind of my control vector for my non-modded save. When we start playing Two-Fisted Explosion, I will be modding more heavily. But I am going on a bit of a tangent, I apologize. That's what I've been saying for int, though, however. Moving on to agility, if you're not planning on relying on VATS or any mods that utilize your stamina, also Vortex. Vortex is for convenience's sake. Admittedly, you can do more without using Vortex, but if I'm going to share a mod list for the ease of accessibility, I do think I would try to run as much as I can through the Nexus Mod Manager. There is at least one mod I'm planning on using that isn't available on the Nexus, however. It would be Vanilla UI Plus. But I will try to, just again for ease of sharing, I'll probably try to do as much as I can on Nexus Mod Manager. Get everything all in one place, if possible. What was I saying? Right, agility. If you're going to be using VATS in a generalist build, which this is the generalist build, we'll go over Two-Fisted Explosion separately. If you're going to be using VATS more heavily, then you can invest into agility more so. There's also mods that give you a sprint skill and bullet time, other things to do with your stamina, basically. I choose small frame more for difficulty than I do any practical benefit. I don't need those additional points in agility. I like the idea of being crippled more easily and having to play more defensively. In a generalist. I'm not going to do this when I get to the low int build, however. So, agility, if you're going to use stamina, then if you're going to use AP as stamina, set it higher. But if you're not using VATS, then frankly, it's just a matter of perk selection. For luck, I set this at 8. I used to set this at 7. Something just crashed. I'm not sure if that's being impacted on stream. Interesting. I don't know what broke. Oh, it's fucking Epic, of course. That's what I get for using the Epic Games launcher for my control save with no mods. Ah! Boy, you lay off 1,000 employees and suddenly your launcher has no stability. Funny how that works. Excuse me, sorry about that. Right. Originally, for my generalist, I would do 4, 5, 8, 1, 9, 6, 7, but I've redone the numbers, and I'd like to try and avoid using comprehension and educated. So instead, I'm doing 4, 5, 8, 1, 8, 6, 8, and that in extension allows me 1 additional point of luck. That 1 additional point of luck, when rounded up to odd, courtesy of the implant, allows you an additional +1 to all skills. So yes, you're losing about 4 to 8 points, courtesy of what's impacted by int, but you're getting a +13. Never mind the additional crit rate and the additional luck when gambling. So if you're going to get up to a +9 with the implant, then all you need is one piece of lucky apparel, either the lucky shades or the naughty nightwear, and you're at luck 10. And if you're still at luck 8 before you get the implant anyway, if you're willing to do plus Legion stuff, then you get the Legion safe house early on, and then naughty nightwear in Freeside. It's quick, it's cheap. That's an easy that's an easy 10 lock. Now, for the generalist, again, this is something that I don't know if I would recommend early on because it's not very intuitive for a build. But if you are willing to min-max to get 2 free perks that are frankly exploitative, then this is the special I like to do on those saves. 1, Strength. Pilfer NCR Dog Tags, hand into Aurelius Phoenix for a Legion rep that doesn't involve losing NCR rep. The oddity there, however, comes in companion behavior, because you would have to keep your reputation with the Legion high enough to get the safe house, but not so high as to be off-putting to Boone and Arcade. Yes, you are able to get around those reputation issues if you use an NCR disguise or the like, but frankly, that feels exploitative to me. I don't have a good rationale for it. That's going off of vibe. I don't feel like your companions should be able to be fooled by disguises in that way. Just shoot him in the face afterwards or something. IDK. Yeah, that... I'm sorry, I got distracted thinking of shooting Arcade. Oh, I'm terrible. Arcade should have been less insufferable if he didn't want me to fantasize about that. Anyway. Yeah, that is an option for the Legion safe house early on. As I was going over the special before, 1 Strength, 8 Perception, 6 Endurance, 4 Charisma, 10 Intelligence, because you're going to be leveling up with this. If you would play it the way I do and try to get 4 levels before leaving Goodsprings, you can't get the int implant without leaving Goodsprings. So you're going to want those bonus points early on. 6 Agility, 5 Luck. You can then tag Repair, Speech, and Barter on Creation. Level 2, you can get... let's see. Level 2, you would want to get Light Touch. And in doing so, you'll get your Explosives to 23, your Lockpick to 23, your Medicine to 30, and your Repair to 45. You could also dump 1 additional point in Survival. That last point's not that critical. Level 3, you don't get a perk, but you can get Survival to at least 30, and you're going to have leftover points again. Level 4, Survival 45, and then you get Old World Gourmet. Those are the 2 perks that, if you're willing to carry over on respec, I would say are most generally useful for the early game. I'm putting an awful lot of thought into this for claiming to be low int myself. That's, it's a lot of planning, but not a lot of processing power. Right. And we showed this earlier on in the save when I was just demonstrating the control group, where for level 2 I would get Rapid Reload, and for level 4 I would get Radchild. Radchild, I generally don't go above 2 stages of radiation in Radchild just because of the special conflicts. But I did come around to the arguments on this one, where the free regen versus the overall lack of radiation exposure in New Vegas makes this supremely worth it. And I didn't believe that for the longest time. I was probably playing the game 10 plus years before I agreed to the fact that Radchild had more utility. But I'm not going to go over the rest of this build because I was mostly just worried about the early games and the special and all. Or, don't move that. The early game and the special allocations, the skill allocations, etc. And how that would impact other saves. So if I play the Generalist on stream more often, then we can factor in more of the build. But for now, we're just worried about level 4 and below, because if you want to min-max your XP for the early game, you can get to level 4 without doing any progress on Ghost Town Gunfight or Run Goodsprings Run, but it's more comfortable for me if you choose early on to do one or the other, because otherwise you're relying on enemies wandering into your area or respawning. I don't like to use those time mechanics. If you choose early on whether you're going to side with Goodsprings or with the Powder Gangers, however, you can comfortably get enough skill checks to hit level 4 even before the fight itself. And this is just a mess of other considerations with the build. I don't need to go into this. Like, I have the Vigormatic Tester titles in here. It's low int for a reason. It's because I just consider everything and then get choice paralyzed. Paralyzed? Yes. Pretty much that. And then there's the templating as well at the bottom. We're not playing the generals today. I have a diplomat save in here as well, which was previously for my Steam save. Frankly, I got this build into the early 30s and just stopped having fun. So, I have that save available. I don't recommend it personally. This was me picking a bunch of stuff that I ordinarily don't. Comprehension and Educated with the option to go to 10 int early on. I think I even did a clinic run on this save, so I had 10 int before level 2. Even with all those skill points, I'm just not enjoying it. It's like, you don't need Adamantium Skeleton, because once you cripple your limbs enough, you can just get Toughness. Or, not Toughness, but you basically get an unlockable perk that functionally gives you a lesser version of Adamantium Skeleton, and it doesn't waste a level up perk. Like, Rad Absorption. When am I ever going to actually use Rad Absorption? I would rather have Rad Child than Rad Absorption, but I wanted to pick it in a build that was experimental. And I'm not having fun with it. What does that tell you? Living Anatomy, generally useful. I don't usually get to pick that one. I'd like to, though. But you don't need Educated, you don't need Comprehension, you don't need it all built in with Skilled as well at 10 int. That's too many skill points. You're just leaving stuff on the floor. So, remove the Diplomat. My apologies for that. Excuse me. This is what we're going to be playing today, however. We're going to be starting it, at least. I call it Two-Fisted Explosion. Originally, I called it Explosive Himbo, but I was told that might not be the most search engine optimized title. So, Two-Fisted Explosion it is. And because we're not trying to pull any kind of min-maxing here, we don't need to worry about starting with that previous demonstration of level 1 through level 4. We can just start with our actual starting special. As always, having a low int start does have consequences. And again, no Comprehension, no Educated, no skilled exploit, and we're starting with a low int. We're starting with an int of 2. I'm starting with an int of 2 specifically because of RepCon Headquarters. Every low int skill check in the game, except for one, checks if you have below int 4. Ice cream! Actually, that's not the reason. Not exclusively the reason, but it is the big reason, yeah. Every int check in the game, except for one, checks if you have below int 4. Except for RepCon Headquarters. RepCon Headquarters checks if you have an int of below 3. Now, this build is starting with a luck of 9, so there's another skill check I could be making at the same time, which would have functionally the same result. But I kind of want to challenge myself a bit, so we're going to be going with low int to an extreme degree. Even assuming that I was going to make a level 1 clinic run, which I'm not, lowest I would do a clinic run in this save is level 4. Lowest, absolutely. And I'm not planning on it. I'm planning on doing it later, if at all. The maximum number of skill points that I would be able to commit to would be 563, and assuming I block out 2 of my skills, because for this build, I want to just ignore guns and energy weapons entirely. I want to ignore those skills. They don't exist. Put nothing into them. Which does have consequences, especially guns. But if I ignore those two skills, I would still need 606 skill points to max everything. 651 if you include tagged. But disincluding tagged, 606. So I'm about 43 skill points shy. So I could pick one skill that gets neutered consequently, or I could just pick 4 skills that are going to be taking approximately minus 11. Getting to 89 in 4 of your skills is still more than enough generally. It'd probably be along the lines of, say, science, medicine, speech, and one other skill. Those could even just be like plus 18, 19. Regardless of which skills I pick, magazines are still allowed, outfits are still allowed, so you can get around that. But if you actually include those last 2 skills, which is why I'm ignoring them, I would need 771 skill points with tagged and 726 without. So that's over an entire additional skill that just has to be left on the cutting room floor. Like, with the 2 skills I'm ignoring, I would need to get to almost level 69. And if I didn't include them, I would need to get to level 58. That's a lot of points for skills I'm not planning on using, so we're just going to acknowledge that right out of the gate. This is not going to be a perfect character. It can't be. We are deliberately neutering our skill point gains. So we're starting with Strength 7. As I said before, you don't want to set your starting strength any higher than 7, because you can get Reinforced Spine and +1 from the clinic. Perception 4. This one's actually a bit of a hang-up for me, where I have to decide between whether I'm RPing or if I'm min-maxing, because I do have additional points in Charisma. I could go Perception 6 at Charisma 1 instead. That would be generally more useful for skill checks. There are perception checks, there are not charisma checks unless you're talking to the mini-boomers. So I am making a judgment call here that I want to have at least some evenness for the sake of RPing. It's like, do I want to be highly perceptive? Do I think a himbo would be that self-aware? Probably not. He'd probably need some accessories. He would need to really be styling and profiling to actually have his gaydar turned on. So, we're sacrificing some perception. It will go up to 5 courtesy of the implant, but if we want it higher, we're going to have to accessorize. Endurance 9. This is a consequence of me choosing to do Divine Survivor in Charisma. This one is an argument that could be made elsewhere. I could, as always, or I explained previously with my generalist build, if you put Divine Survivor in Endurance, that could be functionally a +2 elsewhere, courtesy of free implants, but there's already a finite number of implants, and I wanted to RP. So we are going to risk 1 lower total special point. If you wanted to optimize this build, frankly, I don't think there is a way to optimize it, because we are covering multiple vectors with this. We're going to be covering melee, unarmed, and explosives. If you want to specialize the build, cut 1. Frankly, cut 2. But this is the judgment call I'm making here, so we are leaving 1 special point on the table. We are making things suboptimal in certain ways. So with the implant and the bonus point from Divine Survivor, that gets you to Charisma 5. So there's some things you're okay in, there's some things you're average in, there's some things you're below average in. I think that makes it for a more RPable character. Charisma 3, even though you're still trying positively, you're failing, you're going to be tripping over your own tongue. It's a ditzy bimbo bastard. Himbo bastard that. So. Int 2. This is why it's going to be difficult. Agility 6 and Luck 9. I'm going to be honest with you. I literally chose this first and foremost because Agility 6 and Luck 9, 69 for a himbo. There's no reason to have this much luck when you're primarily relying on explosions and you're not going to have crits to fall back on. If you're using your melee and unarmed more heavily, yes, the crit rate becomes more of a factor, but I'm not planning on using VATS that heavily, so agility is a general non-factor. Luck is an overall non-factor. Overall meaning for explosives, the primary form of attack. If we're factoring in melee and unarmed, it becomes increasingly relevant, but not the most. And with those choices on character creation, that results in us getting the following for our post-implants, post-divide survivor. This is our end special. 10, 5, 10, 5, 3, 7, 10. It's not pretty. It should work, but it's not pretty. And since we are not going to be trying for any of the free respec perks, we're just looking at getting all of these from the outset. Now, one perk I did cut that might seem suspicious in its absence is Toughness, and I cut both ranks of this. That's because we actually can't get max damage threshold on this build. Our int is too low to get Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage is plus 15. That is a huge chunk of your max possible int. Excuse me, sorry. Right. Because this build is low int, we are sacrificing things that are not predictably being cut. For instance, in an explosive build, you generally want Pack Rat. I like playing on hardcore mode. I like Pack Rat. One thing I forgot about Pack Rat, let me see if I can bring this up. Pack Rat, it's level, what level is it? 14? Not 14. Level 8. Okay. One thing that I forget about Pack Rat regularly is that it actually has an int requirement of 5. I'm always worried about the barter requirement, because if you want to get Pack Rat early on, that's a huge commitment to a non-combat, non-utility skill. I rarely have my int so low that I even need to think about that requirement. The fact that all of my explosives are going to weigh the full amount and I'm going to lose the prospect of having everything except mini nukes, that is a huge problem for weight. Which is why I plan on needing Burden to Bear, why I plan on needing Strong Back, why I plan on specifically, if I do Lonesome Road, I have to do the NCR ending. Because I'm going to need that... I'm going to need the NCR version for extra carry capacity. This build is capable of maxing carrying capacity, strength 10 and all. But the inability to get Pack Rat on hardcore is a problem. Like, let's go back to this and see if there's anything else we think we would need that we actually can't get, courtesy of an int requirement. We already went over, we're not using retention, we're not using comprehension, we're not using educated. I kind of wish we could use comprehension, given the doubled effectiveness of skill magazines, but we're choosing to do low int. Entomologist is not a big sacrifice. Pack Rat's the big one I'm worried about. Nerd Rage, again, that's Science 50 as well. This build's not concerned with being a hacker. But just the int 5, that being a requirement to getting 15 points out of not even... It's more than 15% of your max DT. If you were trying to do a max DT build for maximum tankiness, that level of int, it could cost us. Nope. Tabbed out, excuse me. Computer Whiz, not really relevant for us. Voracious Reader. very seldom useful. I don't think it would be missed. Lessons learned, we don't need to worry about that XP. Given enough time, you will eventually hit max level. It's the same reason that Skilled is so good, and you could layer it 3 times with no consequence. And after that, there's nothing else that requires int, so... That's everything that we are missing out on via our intelligence. But I think I can explain every choice still in here reasonably well. Confirmed Bachelor. I just want to deal bonus damage, and there's mostly men. It makes it all the easier to justify when I'm self-describing as a himbo, so... As you do. Heave-ho, we're going to be relying on explosives as our primary form of engagement, so you want to focus on this for throwing. Grenades, dynamite, you name it. You know, I might even include throwables like spears and throwing knives. That's... it depends on whether or not they're governed by skills we're excluding. Should be fine. I'll consider it. Radchild level 4. That is a huge amount of survival to commit to early on, but I've come around on Radchild. I do see the value in it. Demolition Expert has 3 ranks. You plan for all 3 of them. Mad Bomber is a skill I always want to use and then forget about until it's a much later game. I do think it's still useful late game, especially if you're using microfusion clusters. But generally, if you're planning on this, you want to get it earlier on, because if you get it later by accident, you're going to be overlooking it when it's at its most useful. That said, though, I need to check if microfusion clusters have any governance in the energy weapon skill. If not, then 0 consequences. But it might help if I plan ahead a bit, so... Stonewall, this way just to avoid getting knocked down, whether it's being knocked down by your own explosions or by other enemies. Strong back, carry capacity, I especially need this because I can't get Pack Rat. Super Slam, this is because we're going at least partially melee, partially unarmed in here. So, I don't have specific plans for melee weapons aside from Chance's Knife. I'm thinking primarily about explosives. Heavyweight, this is for reducing the carry capacity, or reducing the weight of heavier weapons for the sake of our carry capacity. If we're going to be using Annabelle, if we're going to be using Esther, then any heavy weapon that we can cut in half is going to be useful. Hit the deck, this will reduce our damage vulnerability to explosives. Simultaneously, if we're taking splash damage, you want hit the deck. Because splash damage is going to increase the size, the AoE, of our explosions by 25%. That sounds better than it generally is, because you're risking yourself unless you're preparing defensively for your own weapons having that bigger blast radius. Life Giver, I'm kind of indecisive about this one. Generally speaking, I would consider Toughness to be better than Life Giver. But if we're already sacrificing the max DT possible for a tanky build, I want to see what it would be like to be more squishy. This is me turning it on to hard mode for myself, because I'm a glutton for punishment, let's be honest. Piercing Strike, again for the sake of melee, ignoring DT. Pyromaniac, I would like to try using mods that bring fire damage back to weapons that don't have it working in the base game, like Gehenna. And even if I'm not using mods like that, this is one of those rare cases where I'm building in such a way I could get away with the Flamer or the Incinerator, so I'd like to build planning for it. And Unstoppable Force, this is again for the melee unarmed side of things. Jury rigging is just so generally useful for your equipment, whether you're using it or if you're selling it, and we're probably not going to be able to max out barter, but we are going to need a lot of cash resources in order to actually afford all of our weapons and our ammo. Jury rigging is going to be a boon. Purifier, we're going to be fighting abominations. I want to be able to bare knuckle a Deathclaw. I think I am being entirely reasonable in that. It's just a generally useful skill if you're going for melee and unarmed. If you wanted to remove either melee or unarmed, you could fit in toughness much more easily. But I'm making sacrifices because I want this build to feel more human. Less overpowered protagonist. Less I just got hit by a truck and woke up with knowledge of how to actually play the video game instead of actually living in the setting. So, Paralyzing Palm, if I'm going unarmed, I want the ability to actually be fully unarmed, not just rely on Paladin Toaster or Greased Lightning or the Industrial Hand. Them's Good Eating is just an all-around useful skill, in the same way that Jury Rigging is good for equipment, but is more so useful for the caps resources. Them's Good Eating gives you some highly valuable sellables. It's also good for the healing items themselves, but they're also valuable for straight-up commerce. If we're worried about cash in this build, then Them's Good Eating plus Jury Rigging should save us quite a bit of trouble. Nuka Chemist. Nuka Chemist is here because I want the Nuka Grenades. If you don't have Nuka Chemist, then you're going to have to come up with the fact that certain Nuka-Colas are only available in a finite quantity in the base game, and the DLCs for that matter. Some of them will respawn, but not the special varieties. So if you want to make Nuka Grenades, then you just have to either accept the fact that that is a perishing resource, or you're going to have to make your own. Slayer. Probably one of the best melee skills. And I actually had to take Ninja out of this, so Ninja was a consideration earlier on, but the fact is that given Ninja's reliance on boosting crits from Sneak, considering what else I was cutting that could be considered crit adjacent, I felt like I had to cut Ninja. But Slayer is not reliant on crits. Slayer is just going to help you off of raw damage and raw speed. So, following that is Burden to Bear. It's more carry weight. We just need it. And lastly, if we do hit max level, then I do think the build should end on high karma for the sake of bonus health. So we could go Life Giver as well as Thought You Died. We could theoretically get to max health with this build, although frankly I don't think that's the most relevant. We had to make sacrifices in the build in order to fit everything in here. Your current playthrough has 100 carry weight. I hope you're playing Jay Sawyer, because if not, that sounds insufferable. Oh, right, this is where I put this. Okay. I showed previously that I have a text file dedicated to the DLC skill checks. These are the skill checks that I would be worried about in terms of the base game. It's not, and... Oh, you're not, and it's not. Oh, Jesus. I'm too much of a hoarder for that, so I don't think I could get away with it. But more power to you. If you can get away with that little carry weight, you are more thrifty than me. This is assuming that you're going to be doing basically every skill check in the game. Which, frankly, you're not. Some of these are mutually exclusive within the same conversations, the same quests. Like, I'm never going to need Barter 100 if I'm going to Speech 100 Linnaeus or Oliver. I think it would actually be Oliver I'm more concerned with, because I don't know for 100% I'm going to do a Legion playthrough with this build, but I think the Legion has the better final quest, at least for the final leg of it. I'd rather do the Oliver fight than the Linnaeus fight, just because you're in a more unique area, more mechanics, more enemies. Linnaeus himself is just a straight-up slugfest. I'll think about that. But yeah, if you're concerned with the skill checks and planning ahead for them, I've already blocked out energy weapons and guns, because we're not going to be focusing on those skills. I should say this before I forget, actually. Where's Grunt? Grunt is the one skill I feel like I'm actually most wanting that I have to completely remove from the build, because it's Guns 45. If we plan for, let's see, after character creation, our Guns is going to be 19. Now, we could get a bunch of skill books. We could get, let's see, we could get an extra 21. That would give us a Guns of 21 into 19. That would get us to 40. We would only need to waste 5 skill points on Guns in this circumstance, and then we would eventually, via skill books and level ups and other special enhancements, get to Guns 45 for Grunt. And Grunt is most useful for my tastes because it includes grenade launchers and grenade rifles. Thump Thump in particular. If we can make a beeline for the boomers and get Thump Thump early on, then I think Grunt would be 100% worth it. But I'm making a choice in creation of this character that I'm not going to put any points into Guns. And I'm probably going to regret that, because getting Grunt, in addition to everything else that helps your explosives, makes Thump Thump, if not cracked, at least one of the best early explosive weapons. I still want it. I'm looking at it. I still want it, but I have to make a decision. I'm going to choose that we're not putting any points into Guns or energy weapons. So unfortunately, that means we are sacrificing some damage on Thump Thump. But Thump Thump is still good enough, and we have enough other perks factored in. I think we'll be able to get away with it. Now, I've gone into all of my choices for the perks. I've gone into what I've chosen not to use. Max carry weight, max base health, thus Hoarder below. Oh, I didn't go into traits yet. Right. Traits. So I'm sorry for all the sick noises. I apologize. As far as traits are concerned, there is a consideration for going good-natured, because that would take out 5 points from Guns and energy weapons, and I could invest those elsewhere. There's a consideration for skilled, but I've explained why I'm not going skilled earlier, because I feel like that would be giving you too many additional skill points. Were there any other skills I was considering for this? I think Built to Destroy. Let's see. Built to Destroy was a consideration. I was going to be investing in Repair early enough. 4 Rise. I don't need to sack any additional Perception. Heavy-Handed is a consideration, but it's actually saved on there, so I'll go to it when I get to it. Hot-Blooded, I don't need to sacrifice, or Kamikaze, I don't need to sacrifice any more DT. Logan's Loophole, I do think that I want to get to level 50 with this, so I'm not going Logan's Loophole, even though that would be useful for the chems. Loose Cannon, Loose Cannon's already on there. Small Frame, I don't think I need that particular agility point or that additional difficulty. Not that specific one, anyway. Trigger Discipline could be useful. I'm not relying on crit rate, and that might help with some degree of ranged weapons. Ranged explosive weapons. Those are generally behaving more as throwables than they are as, like, rifles. So, Trigger Discipline I don't think is a big enough difference, assuming it even works as intended. And Wild Wasteland, I'm actually going to forego it this time. If I do mod it, however, there are mods that let you enable Wild Wasteland as a freebie. I don't think you need it. It's nice. It's useful. It's flavorful. I'm not using it this time, though. So my choices ultimately boil down to Hoarder versus Heavy-Handed. Because Hoarder's a skill, or Hoarder's a trait that I rarely use, and I want to see the consequences of it. And because I'm going to have to deal with so much carry capacity due to lacking Pack Rat, I feel like Hoarder could be thematic. Versus Heavy-Handed, I'm not planning on utilizing Unarmed as a primary offensive stat. It's going to be included in the build for things like Paralyzing Palm, but it's not something that I'm building around as a primary function of the build. And Loose Cannon is because I'm going to be throwing shit. Dynamite, microfusion clusters, grenades, you name it. Loose Cannon is because I'm throwing stuff. It's the same reason I'm taking Heave-Ho. I'm going to be throwing stuff. Throw it faster, throw it further. And these are the projections, again, for starting skills with my starting special that I displayed earlier. I already start with a remarkable amount of Unarmed and Survival, considering I'm not going to be investing as heavily in Unarmed. Survival, though, if I want to get Radchild at level 4, I do think that is very desirable. The question then becomes, do I want to commit to explosions early on as level 2, or do I want a general boost for Confirmed Bachelor? You wish you could keep Veronica in the current playthrough, but the Brotherhood must die. Just get her to defect to the followers. I generally do that. And I feel vindicated because of what the Brotherhood does in response to her even theoretically joining the followers. Never mind what she actually does. Second highest skill check in the game, I think? 95? 96? She leaves anyway, no? Yeah, the consideration then, I guess, is whether or not you actually have her join you before you destroy the Brotherhood. I don't think she's able to join you if you destroy the Brotherhood first, because you then get railroaded into a speech choice that confirms you destroyed them. If you have her join you first anyway, then do as you please. If you're going to destroy the entire Brotherhood, though, Ad Victorium might as well be Subtracted Torium. I don't know. Subtract Ad Torium. Subtract Victorium. Ad Defeatum. Or, hear me out, feed her to the White Gloves. She becomes an exotic, endangered species then, the last of her kind. One time only feast. You're not that evil. Okay, fine. She can help you punch cannibals then. I think I've gone over about everything I can in the build, unless you want to go over to the Vigor Tester titles per spec. And again, this is where I get the RPing in mind. This is where I chose the specific levels of, say, Perception and Charisma. Like, I'm not going to be using this section here. This is per the level 1 through 4 on the Generalist. This is where I would start here on the Two-Fisted Explosion. Wish there was a more melee-focused human vanilla companion. Yeah, because Veronica's more unarmed. I tried to get her a Machete Gladius early on, and she keeps dropping the damned thing. It's like, I would have given you a less unique melee weapon if I thought you could actually not be a total Butterfingers. But Veronica's gonna be Veronica. If you're not going to send her back to the hole in the ground, maybe she needs a fresh one dug for her. Beach Bully for the starting level of special. Unsuspecting Trout. Growing into a Wary Trout. So you're still Fish Lips, but you get to be a bit more alert about it. With my throat the way it is, I can't do a heavy impersonation. Damn it. Now to decide between Raoul and Cass. It depends. Do you want a sombrero or booze? I would generally say Raoul, but if you're going to be chugging anyway, then Whiskey Rose for a reason. More! Hey, how you doing? We were just wrapping up the notes section and going into the actual gameplay. I can't do a heavy impersonation. I'm sorry for my TF2 fans. I can't do it right now. I am... Nope. No, I feel like I'm going to throw up. Nope. Starting with a cretinous amount of charisma, even though we're not from the island nation of Crete. And an absolute vegetable level of intelligence. Perfect for a cooking build. Cat-like intelligence doesn't mean we're going to land on our legs. Hi and bye. Oh. Gotta go again. Hope you had a good time. And for our luck, we are a 21 leaf clover. I saw that as leaf blower and thought, you know, we're going to be blowing a lot other things too. Oh. Confirmed bachelor. Anyway. Into Hercules' bigger cousin. Oh yeah, definitely steroidal. We already went over the fish lips. From bulletproof to unstoppable, unbreakable. Take a last look around your life. Substitute teacher level of charisma. I just like to imagine the idea of Grognak in a desk job. Something so generally unbarbaric. But he's trying. That can't be right. Does Charisma 3 and an Int 3 come out of the same title? No. I have to look that up now. Charisma 3 is Creepy Undertaker. Which, considering this guy is basically going to be a giant wrestler, then, yeah, sure, Creepy Undertaker. I can dig that. And a cretinous amount of intelligence. Knife Thrower, you know, as long as we're going to have Agility 7, if we actually get our agility that high, I think we can justify putting some throwables in here that are not necessarily explosives. And perfect luck for a two-headed coin flip. Two-Face in a nutshell. So I think that's everything we have to go over in the notes section. And as I've shown you previously, this is a very nominal mod selection. We only have the character preset menu because I don't want to deal with the character creator. One example preset that builds into the same character preset menu. The NVSE, that's just for the sake of getting mods working. And Vortex Archive and Validation, that's a function of the Vortex mod manager itself. If you want this, you don't even need a mod necessarily. You could just edit the text files in-game. It's simple enough. With all of that said... Not you. This drivable van home mod is comedic because you usually tell all three of your companions to relax inside it, and they'll do idle animations and remain inside, which means they'll sit down anywhere, and one of the 5 things to do is sit on the toilet. So whenever you come in, one of them will inevitably be hogging the porcelain throne. Well, someone must rule. There must always be a Bed Bath & Beyond king. Or queen. As long as they're not passing any decrees when you look at them, I think that'll be fine. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my Steam version, and I mentioned this very early on, but I want to reiterate. I basically don't know the DLCs for this game. I know how they impact the base game, but if I look at my achievements right now, I have 53 out of 75. I know exactly which ones I'm missing as well. I haven't done House on my Steam save yet, so I'm missing... It's my favorite playthrough as well. I think that was my first playthrough back on console. PS3? 360? Probably PS3. What am I missing? Honest Hearts, Honest Hearts, Old World Blues, Old World Blues, Honest Hearts, Dead Money, Old World Blues, Dead Money, Old World Blues, Honest Hearts, Dead Money, Lonesome Road, Dead Money, House, Honest Hearts, House, Lonesome Road. Wait, did I actually finish all of the GRA challenges on this save? How the fuck did I do that? Where are they? Yeah, I have all 3 of the GRA challenges done, up to the challenge, combat veteran, and pros only. How the hell did I do all of these before I did one house playthrough on PC? Mental. Anyway. Before I open up the game, hydrate. We've been going for, Jesus Christ, almost an hour and 45 minutes. Hydrate! Okay, let's start this up. I apologize for the volume in... There, okay. The volume will normalize once we're actually in the game. Probably. I'm just going to go into a basic save first, and we're going to make sure a couple things are working, and then we will start a new run. I think I started this save for Run Goodsprings Run.
That's close.
No, actually, this is early on enough that I must have been experimenting with different XP routes. Because if you can still ask if I know Joe Cobb's looking for Ringo, then I'm not far enough in Run Goodsprings Run, so... Past that, should pop up momentarily. Go into presets. Load. As you can see here, this is where we get that mod I've shown you in the Vortex preview. Atticus is who this character already is. You could see the name when I was first picking the load. And I've also got a dramatically washed out version of him. He's been chugging bleach. So just, I don't need Albino F or Albino M. This was just me trying to make sure I understood how the saves worked and tracked the presets. This is Cassandra, but even whiter. Normal Cassandra, which is basically just a mono with a spray tan. Lore accurate. No, I can't make lore accurate the bimbo. I mean, I could. But can I? And of course, God Howard himself. And this doesn't have any scrolling in it because I only made so many saves, but you can make more. I think until I start getting some cosmetic mods to improve the character creator, this is going to be our Two-Fisted Explosion character, Billiam. From Double Dragon fame. Not really. I'm sure he's someone's definition of handsome. Once I'm in first-person view, he absolutely will be. We continue on with that. And as I said previously, we will be going with the following. 7, 4, 9, 3, 2, 6, 9. And I can't remember what we would be tagging out of the gate. I think we would be doing survival so we can guarantee Radchild. Would we go science and explosives? Or would we go speech instead of science? And I am decided on this one. I think I will be going Hoarder instead of Heavy-Handed. Even though unarmed, you generally aren't relying on crits, I do think that since we are overall not relying on crits, then if we have to use crits for anything, I like a fallback option, and I'd like to have it not taken away from us by our traits, especially when I have something that I want to use, but don't generally get a chance to experiment with. So I want to use Hoarder most because I normally don't, and I want to see what happens with it. Loose Cannon, again, we're going to be using throwables, so... Ghost Town Gunfight, yeah, this one's still early on in the save, okay. Yeah, that's not a terrible amount of XP for this point, so I must have just been routing it to figure out if there was a way to get 4 more reliably without committing to the quest. So we're going to go back to the main menu. Also, I'm going to check one more thing before we go out of this, actually. Where is it? Kill challenges. I think it would be under here. That does not bode well, because the scroll isn't working. Oh, damn it, I have no bug fix mods. Ah! This is why I want to install mods as the playthrough goes, because sometimes some things just break in ways you can't even predict. Right, okay. This GRA challenge, this is the big thing that makes it so you can actually get the amount of XP to reach level 4 before finishing either Ghost Town Gunfight or Run Goodsprings Run. And if you're willing to go hardcore enough into resetting time to get respawns for the geckos and the coyotes around the area, you could get to level 4 before even starting Ghost Town Gunfight. But I don't recommend it. Personally, I think you just decide which way you want to go early on, and this is much simpler to run through immediately. You don't need to waste any time, you can just go top to bottom. Right, now that that's working again, time to go and do another save, and then break it again. Why did I exit the game? I just need to go to the main menu. My brain is not online today. Right. We're going to start a new save. I don't need that one anymore, so go away. Don't need that one either. Although I do think that one is functionally where we're going to end up, so yeah. Do you have any idea how much fun I had to not be having on my Diplomat save? I stopped my Diplomat save one short of reaching 69. I had to be impressively bored with that. Ah. Level 33, though, higher than I thought. I think I've got some fun highlights marked in here, like, let me see. Where's Jacobstown? Not that one. I think this one. This is right outside of Jacobstown, where I think I've actually successfully mugged everybody in the mercenary squad that was trying to harass the mutants. No guns. Everybody should be melee or unarmed. Show me your weapon. Thank you. Just a generic knife. Just a generic knife. And the head merc, not even a knife, unarmed. So here I've got plasma rifles, I've got sniper rifles. And of course, your assault carbine, which you don't recognize. So yeah, I'd like to see you harass all the super mutants with 0 weapons. Oh, I'm sorry, you raided a kitchen first. My mistake.
Our business is with the muties, not you.
I could just speech this guy away right now, but what would happen if I say intended to bribe you?
We're still owed half.
I'm not going to give you my money, though. Instead, I'm going to extort the mutants myself, because they're willing to pay. I'm not even wearing the Naughty Nightwear. I actually had that much speech at this point. Marcus. Not Marcus. Where is Marcus? I went right past him. I'm actually blind. It's a good thing I'm playing a low perspective, low perception build. Marcus, save me.
Something on your mind?
You could just tell them straight up how many caps the mercenaries want. Or...
Damn it. That'll wipe out the town treasury. If that's what it takes.
And you saw I could pass the speech challenge earlier anyway. So what if I try to do the speech challenge now? I already have the caps. I don't need to necessarily pay the bribe.
What? I've always known when to fight and when to back down, and it seems to me I ought to back down this time. My men and I are leaving. You won't see us around here again.
Good, put your fists away. You're not Henry Cavill, don't pump those. So now we've removed the mercenaries, and we kept the bribe for ourselves. Do I have any other saves around? I think I did the same thing in Boulder City, actually. Let me see. Yeah, I got a good ways through this save, but by the end of it, I just wasn't having fun. I don't recommend my Diplomat build. It was very experimental. Yes! I did it here as well. I don't even have that good a sneak. I just stole all the weapons off of the NCR and the cons. I think the only two I didn't rob were the hostages. This one I was even able to steal her clothes. Oh, and I already had them release the hostages too. Did I actually manage to rob everyone else's clothes off their back too? Oh, these cons. Not even knives for the cons, just bare knuckle. I could still steal your gun, but at least I forced you to unequip it because of lack of ammo. What else do I have in these saves? Gotta have something good. I think this was me setting up another start with the 4581868, but it was a level 1 clinic run. I don't need that, so that's boring. That's probably the two best saves I had left over. Oh, we could turn on Helios 1 if we want. Oh, I think I had open Freeside on this save, so let's see if it breaks anything else. Oh, come on, 4 minutes. Come on. Perfect. And don't think just because I disabled Archimedes 1 means you're getting off scot-free, NCR. Is anybody rendered down there? It's worth it. Maybe slightly less worth it. Still worth it. Well, we know it works. Free recharge, too. Don't worry, Veronica. It's in responsible hands. I'll let your elder borrow it once in a while. I think that's all the good stuff I had saved, so we just go make a new one. Oh, right. I need to mod out all the notification spam as well. All of this stuff I'm not going to be using, except for maybe the grenade rifle.
You've been out cold a couple of days now. Why don't you just relax a second? Get your bearings. Let's see what the damage is. How about your name? Can you tell me your name?
Well, there's no profanity filters, but I do still want to be able to search this later, so I'll use the same name that I do for the face in my presets. Billiam. What's Bill short for? William? Will or won't ya?
Can't say it's what I'd have picked for you, but if that's your name, that's your name. I'm Doc Mitchell. Welcome to Good Springs.
Fuck you, I'm gonna get Bimmy to jump you later.
But I had to go rooting around there in your noggin to pull all the bits of lead.
It was empty, wasn't it?
I take pride in my needlework, but you'd better tell me if I left anything out of place. How'd I do?
Horrible, absolutely horrendous, repugnant. Not with 1,000 condoms. Perfection.
Well, I got most of it right anyway. Stuff that mattered. Okay. No sense keeping you in bed anymore. Let's see if we can get you on your feet. Good.
Nice
Why
lurch.
don't you walk down to the end of the room, over by that vigor tester machine there. Take it slow now. It ain't a race.
Okay, now we're not going to need this right now, but before we leave the building, we are going to use this today's physician. Quick save. There we go.
Looking good so far. Go ahead and give the vigor tester a try. We'll learn right quick if you get back all your faculties. We can chat later. The sooner you finish these tests, the sooner you can get out of here.
Alright, fine. But I'm not a good test taker. My blood test came back negative. Then again, so did the IQ, so it gets some things right. Beach bully. Unsuspecting trout. Bulletproof. Creepy Undertaker. Vegetable, but I'm more of a protein build. Cat-like. And finally, a 21-leaf clover. Again, I had to get sick right on St. Patrick's Day. Luck of the goddamn Irish, every time. 7, 4, 9, 3, 2, 6, 9. And the 69 is just cause, haha, funny number. That's the build. At least for the start.
Sorry, son. I fixed up your head as best I knew how. I guess I missed a spot.
An ordinary person might think that's not a good assessment. I'm just happy to hear something other than frontal lobe damage for once.
Drop it. What do you say you take a seat in my couch and we go through a couple of questions?
Yes, please.
Your dogs are so barky. All right. I'm gonna say a word. I want you to say the first thing that comes to mind. Dog.
Kick.
House.
Demolish.
Night.
Silencer.
Bandit.
Reasonable.
Light.
Torch.
Mother.
Human shield.
Sometimes when you give tests like this, you learn more than you was hoping for, and I reckon that...
My himbo has 0 in ethics.
But I guess maybe it explains a thing or two about your predicament. Okay, now I got a few statements. I want you to tell me how much they sound like something you'd say. First one, conflict just ain't in my nature.
No, definitely barbarian.
I ain't given to relying on others for support.
Probably would run solo. Companions make things a little too easy.
I'm always fixing to be the center of attention.
Not particularly. My charisma's embarrassing.
I'm slow to embrace new ideas.
Are you calling me stupid? 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 He called me stupid. No, wait, he didn't. I called me stupid. Well, fuck you for making me call me stupid. I guess it did take me a while to get there, though. Slow, yeah.
I charge in to deal with my problems head on.
Fuck yeah, I do.
Almost done here. What do you say you have a look at this? Tell me what you see.
Definitely shrapnel.
Okay. How about this one?
Penis.
Last one.
I need the mod for Two Bears high-fiving. It's mandatory for this one. It's an abomination without that answer. I need it. Blow it all up. Start all over again. It's a mushroom cloud.
Well, that's all she wrote. I don't have nothing to compare it to, so maybe you'd better just have a look at the results. See if it all seems right to you.
So what I think would make most sense for the tag skills would be survival. We are going Rad Child at level 4. I'm going to want the ability to hack early on, even if it is just easy. And I guess then the question becomes, do I want speech or science? Because I want at least one combat skill invested into. And we are explosives primary. Yeah, I think we would do that. We can figure out something for speech. We can get some levels elsewhere. Elsewise. I think that's fine to start with.
Before I turn you loose, I need one more thing from you. I got a form for you to fill out so I can get a sense of your medical history. Just a formality. Ain't like I expect to find you got a family history of getting shot in the head.
You'd be surprised. I actually do have a family history of getting shot in the head. It's not every generation, though. It's within at least 2 generations. I think I'll go Hoarder and Loose Cannon. Hoarder because we're gonna be carrying a bunch of shit, and we can't get Pack Rat on this build. Our int is too low. Loose Cannon because we're going to be throwing a bunch of shit.
Alright, I guess that about does it. Come with me, I'll see you around.
You don't need to wait for Doc to reach the front door to talk to him, by the way. You can speed things up.
You had on you when you was brought in. I hope you don't mind, but I gave the note a look. I thought it might help me find a next of kin. But it was just something about a platinum chip. Well, if you're heading back out there, you ought to have this. They call it a Pip-Boy.
A Sandevistan, you say?
Before the war.
Too bad I'm not using it.
One. Ain't much use to be now, but you might want such a thing after what you've been through. I know what it's like having something taken from you. And put this on too, so the locals don't pick on you for lacking modesty.
You're right. I'm not actually naked enough without clothing on. I'll have to fix that. You're too kind, Doc.
Don't mention it. It's what I'm here for.
No, I mean you're too kind. You're going to regret it.
She can help you learn to fend for yourself in the desert. She'll likely be at the saloon. I reckon some of the other folks.
I'm already getting ideas for some choices.
Help you out too, and the metal fella Victor who pulled you out of your grave. Anyway, you ever get hurt out there, you come right back. I'll fix you up, but try not to get killed anymore.
You're not the boss of me. Yes, hardcore. And now the outdoor lights have been enabled. Yeah, I'm not on the line for Hoarder yet. I already regret this, but I'm still gonna do it. Oh, dear. Is it a bad time to mention I was looking into a mod that makes it so Doc Mitchell actually owns the things in his house so you can't rob him blind? I don't have it yet, but I'm thinking about it. If I had more speech, there would be... Oh, actually, I don't have enough medicine either. Let me show you something. Oh, that's broken. I apologize for the looping audio. I want to show you something, though. Come back to me. There we go. Okay. This save should have what I need. I don't have the Pip-Boy yet, but...
Here.
Let me just check the special. Yes, this is for my level 1 through 4 spec.
I expect you'll be...
So, with the special I showed you earlier, 18641065, if you also have your speech tagged on that, you will have enough speech right out of the gate to pass your first skill check with Doc Mitchell. My wounds still hurt a little. Can you give me something for the pain, Doc?
Of course.
Now, I'm going to walk away, but I'm coming back.
You take care now.
And I'm still not leaving the building, because once you leave Doc Mitchell's house for the first time, these 3 skill checks disappear. And yes, I do mean 3. I've already got the magazine on this save. So now we go to Aid, today's physician, and with that, we now have a medicine of 30 plus. We get speech 30 because Doc Mitchell actually gives us the vault suit, so it pushes us from 28 to speech plus 2 from the suit. Speech 30. And now we have medicine 30 plus. So we actually have another skill check we can do with him. It's effectively the same skill check we just did with our speech.
Of course. You've been through a lot. Ain't much, but these'll do you right if the pain clears up.
However, there's another speech skill check at the same level. And we're still wearing the vault suit, so we still pass it. So we can effectively do that check again.
Of course.
3 skill checks before you even leave Doc Mitchell's house. That's 90 XP right out of the gate.
You take care.
As you can see here, 90 out of 200. We haven't even left the first door yet. If you want to, you can grab this hat as well for your perception. I'm looking into mods that will actually have Doc Mitchell's possessives flagged properly, so you can't just loot his entire house willy-nilly. But we are going to need that +1 perception coming up. And I just want the glasses because I can. And that's how you get 100 XP right out of the gate, so you only need half as much XP to actually reach level 2. Now, I'm still waiting for that last DLC pop-up. There we go. Excuse me, sorry. Hopefully I muted that in time. I'm sorry, my cough is getting rather rough. Right, okay. So you don't actually need to speak to Victor for any of the early XP going on. You can talk to him, but it's not going to be anything that impacts your ability to reach level 4 early on. What you want to do is go talk to Sonny. You don't need to talk to Easy Pete. You can. Not going to change anything right away, though.
Cheyenne.
First things first. Get the locksmith and the lockpicks and the locksmith's reader. Talk her ear off, and then get her to go walk away. Now that you got your lockpicks for free, you can start getting some of the early skill checks. Do a little lockpicking. And you probably don't have enough science right out of the gate to do normal, but you should have enough for easy. Yeah, there you go. And just back out before you use your final save. You don't need to worry about doing any of the additional mechanics, looking for brackets for duds and allowance refreshes. The only thing is, if you're doing this on a red highlighted PC, you are going to be acquiring additional evil karma. But karma is not that relevant in Fallout New Vegas of all entries, so be evil. Sending is close. Leading? There we go. That's 1 lockpick, 1 packing. You don't need to disengage the lock. I would rather save that for XP anyway. Although it's not going to be doable with the amount of skill points you have this early on. So you could unlock that, lock it, whatever. I say save it for XP. Also know that Sunny's out of the way. There's only 1 person in here that can see you if you decide to yoink a Magnum from behind the counter. You could just easily take it over to where Sunny's normally standing. Free revolver out of the gate. There's nothing else you could do that's really requiring Sunny to be where she is at the moment, so you just go talk to her at the moment.
Now, see the sarsaparilla bottles on the fence there? Take this and try to hit a couple of them.
I'm going to equip the gun. It's already auto-equipped. I'm going to toss the ammo, however. You don't need to shoot a single round of ammo, however. As you can see, it drops, you talk to her, and the game is going to behave as if you have 0 ammo.
Everything all right?
I ran out of ammo. Not I used all the ammo, I just ran out.
Yep, I'd say you're getting a little trigger happy there.
Oh yeah, I threw 30 shots right into the ground.
Here, go easy on it now. Ammo can be hard to come by out here.
And free 30. So we're just going to...
That's the right idea. Look up. Try crouching down and nice shot. Well, that's a start. But I don't...
I say do the tutorial with Sunny. It's free XP. It's nothing that's really going to require effort on your part. And if you want to get idolized in Goodsprings, I think this is required. If you did have Wild Wasteland enabled, you could follow her and go a bit off to the east. Not even that far east, just a little bit southeast. Get the refrigerator with the Indiana Jones hat. I think it's technically a Dapper Gambler hat. That's the alternative if you don't want to steal a hat from Doc Mitchell. Because you're going to need that +1 perception if you're doing all of the Ghost Town gunfight skill checks. You'll primarily need that for explosives. Suave, not Dapper, that's right. Did I just... New Vegas is gonna New Vegas.
Cheyenne. If you want...
I'm going to watch the bottles before they actually appear, because some people just rush out here, they don't actually watch when the bottles are teleported into position. New Vegas rarely cheats, but sometimes it has to.
Take this and try to hit a couple of them. That's the right idea. Look down the sight. Try crouching down and staying safe. Nice shot. Well, that's a start.
You could also run up to the graveyard before the crafting component of Sunny's tutorial quest. Get the Goodsprings snow globe early on. Can't do anything with it right out of the gate, but it's one less thing to worry about. You don't have a shovel, but you could get that earlier on from Chet. You'll see some distinctive cigarette butts are near your grave. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by your grave, and then 3 more. Had to grab that one when it was popping back up to the surface, right. 7 by your grave and 3 over by this tree. Grab the snow globe. You can also grab the Brock flower as well. Is the Brock flower actually spawned here prior, or does that wait until Sunny's spawned in the objective? Either way, you can grab it from other locations. That's just for convenience's sake. So now we're going to pop by the schoolhouse to see if we can get some Xander root early on. It's not necessary, but it'll save you some running around later. We are going to want to go into the schoolhouse later anyway, because we can get the safe lock picked, and we can also hack the console. Not in that order, however. If you're going to do both, you have to do the console first, because once the safe is successfully unlocked in the schoolhouse, the console is rendered non-functional. If you were to come here after Sunny directs you to, there would be some giant mantises spawned. So, as is, just grab the Xander root while there's no enemies. Excuse me, sorry about that. And no Cheyenne? The dog glitches out way too often.
Hear that up on the ridge behind me there? Okay, you're on. Go give him hell.
Okay, I think that's all of them. Or did I miss one?
See? You get...
Again, keep going with the tutorial. It's free XP. You can loot the geckos. You can get water from the well if you're on hardcore or need health for whatever reason. Not necessary. Nice work, Sunny. Actually, as long as we're doing this, hang on, just a moment.
Here. Welcome back.
Did it not activate his skill check already? I have to wait for him to wander away first. Okay.
I expect
Too quick on the draw.
I expect you'll...
Okay, that's all 3 skill checks right out of the gate. I'm not going to grab your hat this time. Could do more looting in his house. Not going to. Instead, I'm going for the Suave Gambler hat. and getting all these DLC notifications out of the way. Because there's something I do want to show you since we're going through this on this specific character, and how you can get to level 4 before finishing the Goodsprings, either option for Goodsprings, whether you want to do Ghost Town Gunfight or run Goodsprings Run. Sierra Madre, there we go. Grab that hat, even if you're not going to play the entire game with Wild Wasteland enabled. It's a free +1 per... I keep making the mistake today, I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied. +1 perception hat, that doesn't require any stealing. Then we're going to run back into the town, and we're going to steal a single shotgun. If you're playing the Ultimate Edition, or have GRA enabled otherwise, you're going to have additional shotgun ammo, and that is going to help us with the GRA challenge, especially, we need for getting that XP early on. You can get over that if you take it at the right angle with the right timing. I'm messing that up today, let's just keep moving. This should be the correct house. Single shotgun. And a little ammo as well. This house is where you're going to find Sunny Smiles, Trudy, and the Goodsprings settler that you rescue at the end of the tutorial. So if you're going to steal the shotgun from here, do it before you do the tutorial. Just save yourself some trouble. Do it early on so nobody's going here to sleep. And if you absolutely don't want to steal for RPing reasons, then it seems like there's an elevated chance of getting a single shotgun from the schoolhouse. I thought it was a guaranteed. I thought it was until I actually tried farming it to practice the XP route. And then it took me like 20 resets to actually get a shotgun. So don't rely on getting it from the schoolhouse unless you're willing to soft reset. Otherwise, you can just steal one guaranteed. And you're going to have, let's see... I got 12 from the one I just stole, and that is in addition to the 40 that you get from the GRA. And since we're going to be doing a GRA challenge, again with this. Okay. There we are. Kill challenge. Nay. This is going to be the one that lets us actually reliably get the amount of XP to go over the threshold without needing to reset spawns. We don't have to abuse the weight mechanic. And you get enough shotgun shells to do this reliably. In fact, I would actually say the way I like doing this is not necessarily the most efficient way. Because what I like to do is get this after the tutorial. But if your gun skill is low enough, and you should theoretically be able to do this with parts of the tutorial at least. So, just remember this challenge. Cripple 5 right arms of the shotguns as we're going forward. And specifically, single shotguns. For the purposes of perks as well as certain challenges, the Sturdy Caravan shotgun actually does not count as a shotgun. Thankfully, the single shotgun also has a guns requirement of 0. So if you can use the Sturdy Caravan shotgun, you can also use the single shotgun. Suave Gambler hat, there we are. There's a chance of getting a single shotgun from the safe in here, not guaranteed. Got the Xander root. Now I'm going to grab the Goodsprings Snow Globe as well as the distinctive cigarette butts. I also need to double check whether or not I'm actually blind, because I don't remember the Brock flower not spawning in until you do the tutorial. So I need to double check this for myself. Looks suspiciously at Old World Blues. Right, I can't remember how long ago that message was sent, but if we're talking about implants and such, yeah, that is a factor. Okay, moment of truth. Am I actually blind? There we go. That should be all 10 of the distinctive cigarette butts. Depending on how you want to go with Ring-a-Ding-Ding, this is really not necessary, but I like to collect all the things. Snow globe. Victor should be on his way back down presently. I'm going to talk to him now, actually. So there's another thing that can behave oddly depending on which version of the game you're running. I don't know if it has to do with the optional objective or if it's just generally talking to Victor, but there is a skill check you can do with Victor after Ghost Town Gunfight, and it requires a dialogue with him before you complete that quest. So it behaves oddly. I'm not sure if it's going to require a bug fix patch or not, but I'll probably get that mod anyway. It's an extra science 20-25 check. It's XP being thrown away, so why not take it for yourself? Quick save before we hop in there.
Cheyenne.
Take the free lockpicks. While she's distracted. Wasting, packing, hanging, nothing. You were getting Cass and leaving the bar synced perfectly with Victor saying, "Howdy, partner," on your end. Hell of a jump scare. I've actually had Victor show up with suspicious timing as well. Not today, but I think I was going by Gypsum Train Yard, and apparently that was just recently enough after doing Boulder City Showdown. I thought I got ambushed by a Deathclaw, and the Deathclaw could talk. I thought it was Gorus! Ugh. Speaking of, I did see a Gorus mod as a companion for New Vegas. Although it did have AI voice acting, I would have to check if that was a good one or not. Oh. You're denying it's a good one or denying it's AI voice acting? Which is which? Free sample, please.
Now, see the sarsaparilla bottles on the fence there? Take this and try to hit a couple of them. Everything all right?
Yeah, I'm all out.
Yep, I'd say you're getting a little trigger happy there. Here, go easy on it now.
Thank you.
That's the right idea. crouching down and staying still. Nice shot. Well, that's a start.
Count me in.
Follow me.
Now, this part of the tutorial, I'm not sure if the geckos have enough health that I can actually cripple their right limbs without killing them. So we'll have to see if we can actually get Nay 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 early on. But I'm going to try. Single shotgun as well, just to avoid any of the inconsistencies from the caravan shotgun. Sturdy caravan shotgun, specifically. Cheyenne, please. I'm used to your eyeballs glitching out of your head, but not you failing to follow us to the objective. Okay, now I am playing on very hardcore, but the tutorial is piss easy, so I'm not worried about anything right here. Aside from things breaking, which is more the game itself than difficulty. So.
Seems like Doc Mitchell treats more gecko bites than anything else. Let's see.
They should give me a little room to work with. Let's see if I can get the cripple without killing them. It will count, okay. The enemies are going to have trouble pathing to you. Just mess them up. The only downside of using the single shotgun for this is that having this special allocation this early on is not going to give you a lot of AP to work with. And you're going to want VATS for the sake of targeting.
See? You're getting the hang of it.
It's free XP. Take it. Even if you're using a different weapon, she will give you 556. And provided Cheyenne doesn't steal any kills, we should be able to finish getting Nay 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 right here. Don't have the AP for it right now. Need one more limb, okay? That still didn't count. Come on, show me the VATS overlay. Any day now. And because that killed instead of crippling... well, I guess I'm going to have to show you my preferred targeting either way. It's enough for a level up. Oh, hang on. Assuming we're doing all else with the way I like to do the first 4 levels. What you're going to want to do is explosives up to 23, lockpick up to 23, medicine up to 30, repair to 45, and then you have 1 point left over, so we'll put that into survival. And we're going to take light touch. Again, this is one of the DLC perks that if you respec your character before leaving Goodsprings, you will be able to keep it upon respec, so it'll be just a free perk. Got a little messy at the end, but
Now that was some good work.
it should still clear.
Thought I might.
Tutorials free XP, take it. Courtesy of saving the settler, we get some bonus reputation with Goodsprings, which is key to getting idolized. It's not that relevant in the overall scheme of things, which is why I think for Two-Fisted Explosion, I might actually do the Powder Gangers ending. It's so rare that I do run Goodsprings Run that, for a full playthrough, yeah, I think I will actually do that on Two-Fisted Explosion. As it stands, though, we've already got the Xander route, courtesy of Schoolhouse before the Mantid spawned. So now we're going to go into town. Actually, we don't need anything in town, because we would just be passing through in order to go to the graveyard. And there's another place we could get the... Actually, now that I think about it, the place where I would ordinarily get the Brock Flower is technically out of bounds, so we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to just circle back. Because I want to get Nay 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 before we are zoned out of the area. Now, if you've done this game early on before, you know about Barton Thorn, you know he's going to try and send you on a ridge to fight some geckos for his girl. That ridge, however, is not exclusively accessible by one direction. So what we're going to do is... Can't get through here. Over this. Gonna drop another save. And as you can see all those red marks here, this is the ridge where all those geckos are, ordinarily. You can reach it from the backside to ambush them. And they can't all reach you, but because they can't reach you, their AI is going to freak out. And they're going to try to run away since they can't get to you. That is enough XP, however, to push us almost to level 3. Bear Trap doesn't matter. Geckos are going to try to reach us. Some of them can get over here, some of them can't. Once you have Nay Nay Nay, you don't need to worry about targeting any specific body parts. Just jump back and forth between this little bit of elevation, and you should be able to confuse these geckos quite enough. Jump back off of it when you want to attract them. Free Brock Flower. One more coming in. And there you go. That'll get us over level 3. It will once we're technically out of combat. Who's left? Oh, I didn't realize you were stuck in there. Let me help you. Well, now who's left? You know, I'm just gonna walk away. You get far enough away from the fight, it'll end. Regardless, once you're through all of the geckos for Sunny and going up on that ridge early on, you'll be able to get enough XP. Eventually, it'll let me level up. You know, I'm just going to hop into Victor's house real quick. Thank you. Now for level 3, we want to get survival to at least 30. And frankly, because we don't need anything else at the moment, I'm going to put the rest of those points in survival as well. That was odd that survival, or that was odd the combat wouldn't end sooner, but that's our level 3. As you can see now that we've progressed the tutorial, the Mantids have spawned at the schoolhouse, and Victor doesn't give a fuck, even though he's supposed to join the shootout. So you do have alternatives for locations with both the Xander Root and the Brock Flower. The Xander Root you can get earlier, before the enemy spawn. The Brock Flower you can get someplace you're already going to fight enemies. We're going to go in there anyway to do the lockpicking and the hacking. If you want to be a non-thieving character, you can do this before the tutorial section. You can get single shotgun semi-reliably out of the safe, but I've had bum streaks of luck where it takes me almost, if not more, than 20 chances of reloading this area to try and get a safe with the shotgun. So, if you want to do that, instead of stealing it, you enter, you quick save, then you check the safe, just run up to it before you fight anything. And in this case, we did not get a shotgun, so we would reload the hard save outside of the building. And then we would enter again, and then drop a quick save, and then check the safe again. There's nothing stopping you from just running in, checking it, and then fighting everything, but that feels like a waste of sneaking up on the Mantids. But frankly, we don't need that shotgun because we already stole one. So also, just for my own sake, did you see the pop-up message in the top left right over there? To turn on your Pip-Boy light? I've heard a disturbing number of people ask you how to turn on a Pip-Boy light, and some even surprised that you can at all. Like, they think it's a mod. Like, you get the message early on. You just have to hold a button. Get out of there. Okay. And now, as I said previously, if you're going to do both the lock and the terminal, you do the terminal first. Because, at least in terms of the Goodsprings Schoolhouse, once you do the safe, it will render the terminal inoperable. So, hack it first, and then don't use it. Landing. There we go. Do not disengage the lock. Now, there's bobby pins here in case you didn't talk to Sonny. Stealth Boy, Super Stim Pack, another case of there being no shotgun. Their spawn is not as reliable as I would like it to be, but again, it is an option if you want to get a single shotgun early on without stealing. And as you can see, the terminal is now broken. It does nothing. It's not even going to give you a grayed out option to disengage the lock, so that's why you do that in that specific order. So now we have our Xanriff Root, we have our Brock Flower, we have most of the available XP in town. We're going back to Sonny to continue the tutorial. If you want to get level 4, if you want to get 2 free perks before leaving Goodsprings, this is how I like to do it. There's other ways, but again, I don't like the waiting for respawns with geckos and coyotes. It's an option, I just don't enjoy it. And since I'm on hardcore, I'll take some water too. I also need the healing now that I think about it. Whatever, that's plenty.
Let me see what you got. Hey, that's not bad, see?
See, the edge of where you can stay in the tutorial zone is more fluid than you might think. You might see some Brock Flowers just past this edge. Can't go there. It's not like a solid circle either. Actually, a better place to showcase this to you would be probably more northeasterly of here. Oh, Barton's already spawned. One thing I like to do with Barton, considering how early on you can get him, is soft reset him for, what is it, Roving Trader apparel. He can have both the hat and the outfit. He has an unmarked quest anyway. It's not like you're missing out on XP for doing it anyway. And you see what else we're dealing with here. Even though we are still approximately as close as we were previously, the geometry for the level is what dictates the boundary for the tutorial zone, air quotes. So we're going to follow Sonny's route. And if we were playing this fully, then we would also be looting all the geckos, we would be trying to min-max ammo, we'd be playing more carefully, but I'm just showing this off for the sake of showing it since we're early on. Again, grab the Dapper Gambler hat if you haven't already on Wild Wasteland. And it should be once we're in line with the Prospector Saloon, that's when I want to head east. You can already see the memorial in the background, so now we're going to start heading northeast by east. And we're going to keep an eye open for 2 red blips on our radar. There's one. Now, We're going to not engage with that red blip at all, either one of them, and we're just going to keep heading east. Maybe we stay hidden for it. Two more blips. And you can see that's about where you would find the edge of the tutorial zone. However, oh, not that one. This one. Now we're going to find those blips, and we're going to open fire, and we're going to try to go for the same location. We're being pursued. Do you have any survival instinct? The answer is no. It's okay, you like the English VO better, but unfortunately that doesn't work entirely. Oh, if we're still talking Victor's VO, then I'm guessing you're playing... This is what I was trying to avoid, but unfortunately the coyotes didn't want to live. There you go. Really? The combat didn't start fast enough. There you go. I'm going to try that one more time. We're going to make sure it's working as intended. Because the flexibility of the starting zone prior to respecking can be infringed upon. I'm infringing right now. Full-time cringe. You can encroach upon the border of the starting zone, depending on whether or not you are actively in combat. Like, okay, we have one body here. Maybe this will showcase it better. I'm going to try and run for that body. We're not in a fight. So you go just past that body. And just barely past it. That's the edge of the zone. However, we put away our gun, we're not in combat, the edge is actually closer. So you do have a flexibility of, I'm going to tentatively say, 3 to 6 meters, depending on whether or not you're in a fight at the edge of the tutorial zone. You can see this most obviously if you're trying to loot something in the middle of combat, or you're trying to loot something after combat. From my experience, I've far too often shot a coyote that falls just outside the tutorial zone, and there have been none left for me to actually fight with, to keep going after it. So there is a little bit of flexibility for the tutorial zone. It's not enough that I would say, oh yeah, you should try to go for the coyotes at the edge of it. you should try to farm all of them. Because the coyotes are small pickings. They're no XP that's actually going to make a difference for you. If the coyotes and 5 XP a pop are going to make your difference early on, then I think there are better ways to focus on getting your XP from the beginning than going to the coyotes. And even then, you're not going to be able to loot them most of the time, because usually when you're trying to snipe them to play safe early on, they're going to have their bodies fall outside of the tutorial zone, so you can't loot them. So we finished the tutorial with Sunny. She told us to come back to talk to Trudy. That means that Ringo is going to be active, Joe Cobb is going to be active, Trudy is going to be active. So
We'll keep that in mind.
more skill checks available.
Gonna buy something? Get out.
What do you want?
Whether you're going to side with Cobb or not, you get a free skill check off of him, so 20 speech.
Rob.
Talk to Trudy.
Well, you've been causing.
People think this radio is what's making the noise, by the way, when they come in, and the radio is broken. It's visibly turned off. What you're hearing is the jukebox through the wall. You can hear it get louder as we get closer. But some people freak out on Trudy thinking that, oh, her radio's not broken.
Feeling thirsty?
She has multiple sources of audio in the bar. That's why we put points into barter and repair and all that as well. Another skill check. The caps are irrelevant, but we're more worried about our XP, trying to get to level 4 early on. How did you get here? Well, we got a shotgun at least. I've seen that random rad scorpion spawn in before to attack the bighorners, but not the Prospector Saloon. Okay, that is 25 XP you're normally not going to get. I don't think that should have happened. Whatever. Okay. Right, where were we? So we've talked to Trudy, we've talked to Joe Cobb once. Now's the point where I feel you should make a decision as to whether or not you want to do Goodsprings Run or Ghost Town Gunfight. For the sake of demonstrations, we're going to do Goodsprings Run first.
What do you want?
This will be a little more annoying since I'm low on shotgun ammo, but I didn't want to deal with that scorpion.
That's close.
Now, one additional way you could get the challenge-based XP early on is playing a bunch of Caravan. I finally feel like I understand enough Caravan that I could say this is an option, but it's not an option I'll recommend. So. At this stage, you don't need to play with him. You've been given the deck. That will save you trouble if you decide to play Caravan later. You also don't have to announce that you're killing him. I didn't announce I was killing him and he still got me. God damn, this 9mm ain't shit. How did Benny kill me with 2 rounds? Ugh. That's it. I was playing on explosives today. You're getting exploded. I've heard New Vegas described as anti-9mm propaganda. That feels like a good demonstration of it, but I'm also on very hardcore, so fuck do I know.
That's close.
Where you going, buddy? I'm killing myself faster than him! This is why you need to hit the deck. I might not survive Goodsprings today. Holy shit, okay. I'm fine. Whew. Okay.
That's close.
There we go. You see how much simpler it is when you actually think before doing things? Now, I did mention earlier that Caravan is an option for farming XP early on, if you're willing to do challenges, just like nay. Is that too many nays? Whatever. The other option that's available to you presently is pickpocketing, if you're willing to pick 50 pockets. However, there are so few people in Goodsprings that what you have to do, frankly, if you're going to pickpocket people, cases don't count, because they have no value. If you're going to pickpocket people, you have to steal 1 round at a time from them. And because you have such limited sneak availability at the moment, you're going to have to steal 1 round at a time, and whenever you get detected, you just have to reload. If you're willing to do that 50 times across the people available to you, then that is another way to get XP with a very small pool of it available to you right now. But, frankly, we're not going to need that. We're not going to do that.
What do you want now?
I mopped up Ringo. Well?
My gang's here, but we'll still need a...
Shakedown Chet, Doc Mitchell. That fade to black always struck me as awkward, because
You eyeballing me?
it's not like New Vegas is unwilling to teleport people for free, especially if you're not looking at them. But I guess they didn't want to pre-configure which way you have to be facing with Joe Cobb before they spawn these guys in. So it's more for the passage of time than it is actually spawning them in. thematically, theoretically, whatever. If you wanted to go for an infinite XP farm, then what you could do is, after killing Ringo, kill Joe Cobb.
Hello.
But frankly, I don't have any shotgun ammo left. I don't want to deal with that. But what you could do after killing Joe Cobb is go to Chet. You're going to have a dialogue choice, and the skill check from that dialogue choice is infinitely repeatable, if and only if you have Joe Cobb dead. Because it's doable once with Joe Cobb alive, that continues the quest. If Joe Cobb's dead, the quest gets confused. This is something that's probably fixed in mods that do bug fixes and patches. Barter 25 or Speech 25, these will both be available whether or not Joe Cobb's alive. So if you have to only have one skill at that height, then you could pick here. But we were already planning on having Speech high enough and Barter high enough due to the other skill checks available for Ghost Town Gunfight.
Alright.
The choice goes away because Joe Cobb's alive. You would have to kill Joe Cobb before talking to Chet this first time. And you could talk to Chet first if you're just talking, using him as a merchant, etc. But specifically for the quest, kill Joe Cobb first, then talk to Chet, in that order, if you want to do it for an infinite XP farm. It's such a small amount of XP because it's an early game dialogue check, though, that I don't personally like it. If you're willing to do this and you're playing on PC, I say just give yourself the XP via console. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Ugh, I think I might show Ghost Town Gunfight after this, and then I might have to go get some medicine. But I'm trying it. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. And here's the skill check with Doc Mitchell.
How are you holding up? Are you
The first one's just a lie. It's not a skill check.
What kind of injuries are we talking about?
Here's the skill check. The skill check is actually lower for Joe Cobb than it is if you're doing the Goodsprings version.
All right, that does sound bad.
Now, the strange thing for this, at least the harder thing for me to believe, is that Joe Cobb's gang of hardened criminals that were preparing to assault the town from the beginning, even after you get them the armor and the additional medical supplies, they are more likely to get wiped out by Goodsprings than Goodsprings is once you do all of their skill checks. At the very least, Joe Cobb is more likely to get wiped out. If you do Ghost Town Gunfight for Goodsprings, the only reliable one to go down is either Cheyenne or Ringo. It's rarely even both of them, never mind the other named characters.
We ready to move or what? All right.
Now, if you were doing this on the Goodspring side of things, you could stay hidden the entire time, avoid the fight, and then once it's over, you only lose one stage of reputation with them. You would go to Shunned. However, for the Powder Gangers, you're going to get vilified no matter what, so you might as well have fun with it. Thanks for the extra 556. This varmint rifle ain't shit. You know what? You're far enough away. Ah. Novelty. There we go. For a second, I thought we just got hated and I didn't know what broke.
Never thought I'd ever have my own town.
From my experience, if you're not guarding these dumbasses on Run Good Springs Run, Joe Cobb, of all characters, is most likely to die.
You should get in without a problem.
None of the unnamed powder gangers. Although they will go down too, but Joe Cobb of all of them.
Friends of mine, like the group in Prim, they'll be gunning for you no matter what, so keep that in mind.
And that's actually a verbal acknowledgement that the convicts in Prim are distinct from the powder gangers. Not in a way that really makes particular sense, but it is a verbal acknowledgement of it, so. And now that should be just enough XP. We're still 28 shy. We didn't get enough kills in the fight itself. Ah. Well, shit. I don't want to do pickpocketing, so I guess we're going to look for other spawns. Ah. What am I forgetting? There's one more door I didn't open. It's only very easy, though. That shouldn't be enough. I'm still 8 XP shy. I guess we are going for the coyotes after all. You remember what I said about the coyotes not being a distinctly meaningful amount of XP? I'm eating crow presently. Oh, wait, I killed those two. Damn it. Good Springs Cave, then. Good Springs Cave, if you are flexible on the area around the tutorial zone, you can run into Good Springs Cave while a fight's active and not reset your XP. But by the time you exit the cave, it's going to pop back up again. So, I would not say that's a reliable source of any additional XP. Except for a couple of spawns in front of the cave. That should have got the attention of at least one of the others. And there you go, level 4. Finished, travel onward, survival, get to at least 45. Old World Gourmet. And now we're going to follow the road down. Just get out of the air. We don't need to go a specific direction. Just get out of the XP, or get out of the tutorial zone. I cannot talk anymore. If you don't feel like using the Mercenaries grenade rifle from the GRA, your explosive options are limited in the beginning, so I guess you're going dynamite. As you can see here, perks, light touch, Old World Gourmet, small frame, Wild Wasteland. Why did the tutorial not pop? Did I miss a notification? I feel like I missed a notification somewhere. Odd. Huh. I'm probably going to look at the VOD at this later on and realize I just ignored the notification to respec my character. But that's unusual. I don't know why that's not going off. Anyway, that's the way to do this with Run Goodsprings Run. Now I'll show you the way to do this the way I prefer with Ghost Town Gunfight. Don't talk to Ringo again. Just go straight to... Don't go to Joe Cobb again. Go straight to Ringo. Ringo and Ringo. Perfect! Like the Beatles needed more Ringos. Ugh.
That's close.
Again, if you wanted to, you could get a bit of Caravan out of him now that you've got the deck. I don't think there's anybody else playable within the tutorial zone, so either you play with him or just kill him right away. For Ghost Town Gunfight, Sunny has no skill check, so just start with her. You need to start with her before you can even talk to the other three, regardless. Immediately after Sunny, I'm going to talk to Victor, because he's not one of the 3 skill checks required, but he does have some unusual behavior.
Hi there. Stick.
The same way Sunny doesn't have a skill check to join in the fight, Victor doesn't have a skill check. However, he won't join in the fight. You still need to talk to him first, though, because otherwise you can't confront him about it.
Howdy, partner.
Now, depending on when you talk to him, sometimes this dialogue check is not actually present. From my experience, more often than not, you need to pass at least one of the skill checks before this shows up. In fact, I usually need to pass 2 out of 3. So I usually talk to Trudy right after Sunny, and if I go to Victor right after that, this ain't here. Maybe I should just skip talking to Trudy in the future. Or maybe this is addressed in a bug fix patch. So...
Trouble with rustlers, huh? Count me in, partner. Those varmints will be running home with their tails between their legs soon enough.
And now that you've had that conversation with him, you'll be able to get a skill check with him later. So now we got to talk to Chet, Easy Pete, and Trudy. We're already wearing the hat, so our perception is high enough for the explosives check. If you're not going to wear a perception boosting hat, you'll need at least 25 in the skill. Or if you're all about to walk off here, let me talk to you now.
So you're planning on taking on Joe Cobb's gang. It's a big risk, but I suppose you have to do...
Bonus XP, that is from an unmarked quest.
I was planning on...
There's also a sneak check if you go with Trudy for that one, but I prefer the speech. Just for the other charisma stuff being boosted with Barter and all. If you're going more agility-centric, then I thematically prefer the sneak check with Trudy, but just for the function of the build as is, I'd rather go with the speech.
Howdy.
That's 2 out of 3.
You must be the one, Doc.
If you didn't pick up the shovel by one of the Goodsprings wells, you can buy one from Chet.
Give me a shout if you need anything else.
You cannot get an infinite skill check loop like you can with Run Goodsprings Run, so if you want the infinite XP off of Chet, you're going to have to destroy the town, or threaten to, at least. That means siding with Joe Cobb until you kill him. And lastly, Doc Mitchell. He won't help in the fight if you do this version, but you can still get XP out of him.
How are you holding up? Seems...
He'll give you some medical supplies without a skill check, but if you have at least medicine 30, doctor's bags. Now you can go to Ringo.
So what's going...
Time to look alive.
And now for the fun part. If you've done all of the skill checks, if you've got all the supplies for everybody, you don't need to participate. You can just stay hidden. Throughout all my years of doing... Somebody might have detected me there. That's why I dropped a quick save. But general rule of thumb is... I've never seen more than 2 NPCs, including the dog, that get killed by doing Ghost Town Gunfight. If you do everything for Goodsprings. Victor will chicken out, Doc doesn't join the fight, but everybody else has enough. The alternative, if you want to do it this way, is to get a disguise, and I'll show you the closest disguise available, but I want to do this first. There's only 3 of them left. One left. There we go. And that will get you shunned by the Powder Gangers. If you are detected in the fight, they will not even go to hated, they will go straight to vilified. That will cut you off from a very small number of quests. More importantly, it will mean there's a lot of explosives being thrown at you right away, early on in the game. Across multiple regions. So, frankly, I think it's better off just not having to get in the middle of that action. We'll see if Ringo survived. If he did...
I owe you a huge...
Ringo survived. We get paid. I don't see any of our friendly bodies. Oh, Cheyenne. Unfortunately, Cheyenne seems like one of the most commonly to go down in this. But yeah, Trudy's fine, Ringo's fine, Sonny's fine. Where's Easy Pete? Did they get Pete? I think he's usually out here with his... Oh, there he is. Okay. It's fine. Easy Pete's fine. It's no longer a difficult Pete run. Okay. But yeah, Cheyenne was the only casualty, and frankly, she bugs out often enough. I feel like that was a non-issue. Everybody's piled in here at the moment.
That'll teach the powder gangs to avoid good springs in the future. Hi there. Hi there. Sticking around.
I
Good
thought
Springs
she
for a
had
while
unique
longer?
dialogue for when Cheyenne got killed, but I guess that's only during the tutorial, not during, gunfight. Anyway. If you want to do this with a disguise instead, the closest disguise available to you is unfortunately still outside the tutorial zone. So you are going to have to either farm for XP via caravan or pickpocketing, or you're just not going to have those 2 free perks. But if you're willing to go outside of the borders for the tutorial, there's one coyote around here. That's not what we're here for, though. Again, yeah, it's going to go over the border. You might see some red blips. Those are cazadors. We're not fighting them, however. We're close enough, they're going to caution us, but we don't have to fight the cazadors. There it is. That waypoint over there is going to be a camp that is besieged by Great Khans, raiders, you can get fire axes, but more importantly, on this ridge, just south of the camp, with one carrion feeder, is Chance's grave. We have a shovel, we can get into it, Chance's knife. And for our purposes right now, Great Khan's simple armor. Excuse me, sorry. We only need 113 more XP. Then we'll hit level 4. Now, we did go outside of the border so we could get the Great Khan simple armor. We're not going to be able to show you getting both of those perks and then leveling and resetting and so on. But we will get level 4 by the end of this quest.
So what's going on?
Time to look alive.
Now, if you're going to do this, make sure Ringo gets far away from you first. Just get him out of sight. Then you can put on your armor. Now, there's actually a problem with this, because Ringo isn't part of the Crimson Caravan faction. Functionally, he's actually flagged with the NCR faction. Do you see any problems with this yet? The NCR is hostile with the Great Khans. So if Ringo sees you wearing this armor, he will instantly turn hostile. Which, yeah, frankly, with these leathers, not exactly hard to see why. Ringo can actually back up far enough that he would spot you out here, so I'm going to get behind the building first. 3 powder gangers left. 2. I might be headless, but I'm not perceptionless. The fight's going well. Well enough. Only 1 left. There we go. As you can see, we're still shunned. Also, apparently my math was wrong. You do need to either get... Oh, god damn it. I have to revise my math on the XP route. Okay. We'll get back to the XP in a minute. But you did see that I was still shunned by the powder gangers. You don't stack. You don't get to have both Great Khan simple armor or any other disguise, plus not being seen in the conflict to get 0 infamy. You're going to get at least shunned if you do it this route. So, you're going to get at least shunned by powder gangers. Frankly, fuck them. If you're willing to get an NCR disguise, however, you could actively join the fight as well as have a disguise on to get reduced to shunned. But if you're going to get an NCR disguise, then frankly, I figure you're going all the way down to Prim. So, this was just to stay closer, quicker. Great Khan simple armor. It's already with Chance's knife. Chance's knife is one of the best melee weapons in the game. Flat out, so there's no reason not to get it. We break our disguise. Is Ringo still alive?
I owe you a huge favor for this.
Okay, I talked to Ringo. I got the questing mark. Unfortunately, that means my XP is off in my charts, so I have to reroute that. It means you have to do at least 1 more challenge, unfortunately. You could do Crafty, but Crafty's not going to give you enough XP to push you over that threshold as well. So what you're going to want to do is either play a bunch of Caravan games, you want to win 30 games, lose 5 total. You don't have to do it in a specific order. And or you want to pick 50 pockets, at least stealing 1 thing each time. So my calculations were off, unfortunately. You have to do at least that much in terms of experience, and then you'll get to level 4 before you leave the area. And I could showcase that, but unfortunately that's just a waste of time. And I'm kind of hurting, so where is that? You could also do You Run Bartertown if you're willing to grind, but at that stage I think you're also willing to grind the respawning geckos and coyotes for just waiting over and over again. If you want to get through this relatively quickly, then Caravan will get you caps. Stealing, sneaking, pickpocketing, that will get you items and possibly caps. So Regrettably, that means we are approximately 63, exactly 63 XP off. It can be done, though. There are multiple challenges that we left incomplete. If you pick 50 pockets, you'll get there. If you play Caravan... Where's that tracked? If you pick 50 pockets, you'll get there. If you play 30 games of Caravan, if you win 30 games of Caravan and lose 5 of them, play 35 games total, you'll get there. So, can you do this without completing either Run Goodsprings Run or Ghost Town Gunfight? Yes. It requires you farming respawning enemies, however, and wait timing. So, that's not quite my cup of tea. As far as more direct opportunities, then I've shown you previously, you can get up to the ridge that Barton Thorn wants you on. You can get extra kills for geckos. You can get extra Brock flowers. You can cripple extra limbs, etc. So, if you want to get to level 4, get 2 free perks, courtesy of, I believe, Dead Money. I like to go with Light Touch and Old World Gourmet. I can't talk anymore. I think I've got to call it here, unfortunately.
Here.
But I've shown you there's multiple skill checks that you can utilize to the fullest. Pop a magazine.
I expect you'll be...
And there you go. Oh, wait a minute. Did I forget? Yes, thank you. That's 10. That's not enough in and of itself, but I forgot to do the chemical brewing station and the free machine gun in Doc's house. That's at least another 10 XP, so... Imagine what I could do if I was healthy. Well, healthier than somebody that got shot in the head. But yeah, that is how I would theoretically start with a character trying to get to level 4 prior to leaving Goodsprings in the tutorial zone. I think we're going to have to make it so that the legit playthrough starts next time, because my throat is killing me, and... I've shown off everything I want to. I talked through all my notes. And the music's about to overwhelm me, so... Oh god, that's loud. That's not just a kick in the head, that's a kick in the ears. And I'm sorry for blueballing you, but maybe that was a kick in the... It's a kick from the shockwave. Jesus Christ, something's exploding, my...